and good evening, everyone. This is Andreas, Pro Culture Guide. I'm your moderator tonight for the Fallout Season 2, Episode 6 live recap and discussion. Hello, everyone. I'm back again. Sorry I missed last Friday, but I was in my time travel machine, the TARDIS. I was fighting the infected for the first time, and they were really scary. Thank goodness I'm going to the gym, guys, because now I can outrun these zombies.
Andres, I saw you on with Raymond on Booze and Chill the other day, brother. By the way,
yes. So yesterday, I was briefly there to do a watch party with Mr. Booze and Chew. It was a blank, was a commentary on this very weird horror 1973 film, starring Christopher Plummer. Please check it out. It was so funny. It was, if you don't know about Canada, there's a lot of French because of the culture there. And it was funny just hearing those characters, speaking French. I have a family over in Canada, so it wasn't like a big surprise. I was like, no, this is how they usually speak. But yeah, so I was over there, and I was busy yesterday. I also was recording a Terminator 2 review.
I wasn't trying to detail your intro, sir, or derail it or whatever, so that you fall off focus or anything like that. I just wanted to mention that I did see you on Raymond's channel, which I thought was interesting. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. Well,
it's good to see you out there doing the guest thing,
Yeah. So, if you saw my Instagram post, I announced that I was going to be there for a little while. And I was besides that, I also had to do like a Terminator 2 review recording. That was fun. I'll let you guys know when that's going to be in YouTube.
I saw Matt and Tim the other day on a movie review with those guys on middle-age movie reviews.
Right.
But I honestly I hate the older films that they always have to choose from for movie reviews. That's one thing that I hate about those guys. I love Tim and Matt and Joey and Rick and those guys to death. But it's hard to find a good movie sometimes with them.
I'm surprised they didn't I'm surprised you were not yesterday for Terminator 2. Like that, I was back with them with Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
I think so. I don't know. You have to ask Cyber for a more accurate answer on it. But I think we did Terminator 2 already. I'm not sure. We may have. I'm not positive.
We did in the MCU Bleeding Edge. We did. But for me, that was my first time going back with them. So it was fun. You will, I think in a couple weeks when the edit is done, it was a fun podcast, folks, because me and Matt opened up this crazy running gag when you hear the pod of just all of us just referencing every Arnold film. And for me, I did the worst thing where I just was constantly saying raw deal.
You're the only trader I know that likes to do movie reviews of the same films you've already done, Andres. I'll be honest with you. I don't do that, sir. Cyber never does that, that I know of. I've never heard of Jesse ever being into that. So you're really in your own lane with that whole, wanting to do 28 days later on a Sunday night or whatever would be.
Over.
We just did it 2 months ago. Nah, man.
Hey, that's just me. Hey, you guys have a problem? That's okay. This just. Hey, I had to have content, and so I had to do something. But anyway, it's better than watching bad movies, folks. Let's be honest.
That'd be like me asking you if you wanted to re-review this episode again after we do it tonight.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready. Let's do it. Anyway, of course, let's introduce our awesome panelists. Let's first introduce Jesse. Welcome back, sir. How you doing?
Doing all right. Trying to keep money in the snack budget, but I'm okay.
Source Material Comics Podcast, baby.
That's right.
Yes. Thank you. Oh God, I'm getting too old. Anyway, of course, we got JFS TrueKnowledge, of course, the co-host of the Marvel MCU Bleeding Edge. How you doing, sir?
The Source Materials Comics Podcast is actually a great title, Jesse. Hats off to you on that, coming up with that title, sir.
That was actually a quite adventure trying to figure out what in the world I was going to title my show back in 2014. And that's what everybody was using that term and it was almost brand new. And I was like, I'm going to steal this and put it as a podcast name. And so
it's pretty unique. I'll be honest with you, Jesse. I think you know from personal experience of knowing me over the years that I've met a lot of creators and like come across a lot of different podcasts and YouTube channels over the years. You know, like rubbing elbows with a lot of other creators. And honestly, I've never seen anybody else that has a similar title that like yours. There really isn't anybody else that I've ever bumped into. You know,
trying to nail down the brand.
I've never done a deep dive search or anything like that to look, but like I've never really come across any other titles that are similar to yours.
Well, so I have. Let me tell you something real quick. I did at one point, like 2 or 3 years after the show got started, and you guys, I think it was Vice. So you guys have probably heard of this. I think it's a network. It's Vice.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, they got big for a while, and then the company tanked overall.
I think that they had some kind of a show that was obviously, you know, they had thought the same thing I did. So they called it source material. And I was like, well, son of a gun. Either way, I feel like I lasted longer.
That's not shocking, honestly. Vice got pretty big there for a while. They're still live. They're still an actual active company, but now they're back to their roots now, I think, you know, with a magazine or whatever the fuck they used to do originally, you know, like that's their shit now.
I haven't been given a cease and desist, so I continue. I should give them one.
Aren't they a magazine initially? Wasn't how Vice started? Or am I tripping?
I don't know. I know that
the
network that does like behind the ring, something like that. Anyway, the dark stories of wrestling, the true dark stories of wrestling. But that's the only thing I really know them from. So
they make a lot of documentary type content, and and they cover a lot of like interesting alternative stuff like drugs and they're known for having creators or whatever, correspondence and stuff that like take acid while they're out, doing their, content or whatever,
Wow.
That's what was interesting about Vice.
I have not taken acid on a show. You guys want to start?
At what point, there were quite a few well-known, like name, like creators or whatever that worked for Vice at one point.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
I'll just introduce myself.
Hey, look, it's
Cyber Day. Yeah. Anyway,
it's my fault, Cyber.
Yeah, Jeff. Shh.
Well, I can forgive you because you gave Knights of the Badass Kingdom a 10 on the first episode, so I give you a pass, sir.
I told Jesse Starcher that's earlier when we first were talking, in the studio before the live stream. I said that the first episode of Knights of Seven Kingdom was really good. And it's actually better than that. It's like really, really good. I have, for some reason, I have a very optimistic feeling that it will continue to be good too. Sadly, it's only 6 episodes though, so that is not many episodes.
Yeah. So I was doing some research on Vice when you guys were talking about. So it's funny I brought up Canada. So it's a Canadian American magazine founded in 1994.
I was right.
So they've been around, and when I discovered them, they were a TV, and they started they had their own cable channel at one point, their own cable network channel or whatever. That's how popular they became. They had Vice TV or whatever. You could just watch their Vice content all day long. Yeah, so that was like around 2007 or 2011, if I remember correctly. That was like when they started to become a big thing. But yeah, fantastic. Unfortunately, they filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That's what I said. Right? That's what I said. They went bankrupt or whatever as a company overall. Like they peaked, it got really, really big at one point, But at the end of the day, though, bottom line, they were really good at doing certain things. Like their YouTube content is still like on YouTube, on the platform, visible, out there, and they make a lot of really solid documentary style content, on YouTube. That's fun to watch. Well produced, likable people, doing the narration and doing the coverage and stuff like that, Yeah, I sometimes watch those, particularly directors. They're pretty awesome. My favorite from them, what they done is either Danny Boyle, briefly, and some other Sophie Coppola. They did like a meaty like inside of their careers, which was awesome. But yeah, fantastic company. Hopefully they can
I bet you guys did not even think we were going to be talking about that at the beginning of the show.
the advice.
I mean, honestly, I'm sure their magazines are probably interesting. I mean, they've always covered a lot of really offbeat shit. A lot of alternative stuff that most people, most news organizations don't fuck with.
Right.
The underbelly type shit like crime and tattoos and drugs and sex and stuff like that. Those are the kind of topics that Vice would always fuck with.
Yeah, because I think it was so close to MTV, so it was like that, like very perfect balance of like, hard edge and all that, because it was the trend.
They're like, it's like an alternative magazine. That's the vibe of it,
Yeah, but now it's like, really seen that before, in TV and all that, Snap and or other crime shows.
How popular are magazines at this point in 2026, motherfucker?
Oh, dude.
I don't know.
Come on.
Like,
Right.
The only time you see a magazine is either like a doctor's like office or like some like related appointment you're going to. Like, that's the only time you see a magazine.
Yeah,
I swear.
Last magazine subscription I had was Entertainment Weekly, and that was
really?
that was legitimately 2006. That was it. I do not have magazines coming to the house or anything like that anymore.
I used to get some of those conservative magazines, the conservative themed,
Guns and Ammo
magazines, like the American Spectator, or shit like that. That was those are the last ones that I've ordered.
Okay.
I never described it, but my mom described like those like Natural Geographic. I remember that because it was like these very small, like packets, and that was like we've been described to other ones, but like that was the one I remember fondly, and we've been stuffing doing that. Which I used
to enjoy looking at Rolling Stones when I was a kid. I always thought that was like a cool magazine.
Yeah, Rolling Stones were good. Time. I don't know. You guys have some Time, like
Time's okay.
That's another one. Like I got like here and there. It's just a space. It's just like you have to be now, a little more, what's the word, like preservative about your space now, and it's like, can I have this? And it makes sense. Unfortunately, it's like what are we gonna do with these?
Yeah, we got the internet.
Print media is dying.
Yeah. I mean, like now you can just go to your phone and find the news and like other things, articles. And
honestly, it's the concept of even going to buy a newspaper at this point, and like where we're at in reality is kind of weird,
Right, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Even that's why YouTube is like still popular, because like now you could just do your like here's a review, or edits like. Blah, blah,
YouTube is endless content. You can watch YouTube
really
constantly every day for 24/7 for a year or whatever. Never run out of new
stuff.
videos on shit to watch. And
exactly, that's why we asking you guys to plug us. Please subscribe our content.
I mean, recycled content like new movies and TV shows and shit like that will just pop up on YouTube randomly. Mm-hmm. People will throw up new episodes of popular shows or new movies. Just throw them up. And they'll get taken down eventually and get copyrighted by somebody, but for a while they'll be active.
Yeah. I've watched plenty of things that shouldn't have been on YouTube.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh God, once I was a young lad in the '60s. Like,
yeah, honestly, I don't mean to interrupt, Andres. I want to talk about Fallout, but you forget there's still a lot of piracy out there. When it comes to TV and movies and all that, that's still there. And a lot of motherfuckers still consume their Game of Thrones or whatever the fuck it is shows, like through, torrent websites and shit that, and downloads and shit, from bootlegs and shit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that. I mean, especially like now, the climate we're in is like it's now more important to use that, But yeah, I mean, my friend. Sorry, we'll get into Fallout, but like my friend from camp, we knew a guy. He knew like a free site of like to go and see movies, for free, and like my friends still use that, which is crazy. After so many years.
Oh, I was gonna say it's still up and running, huh?
Yeah,
Oh,
2014.
wow.
I don't know where
2014.
I wouldn't know where to go look for it or what sites to go to or anything like that. But I'm sure there are places where you could even go find Netflix content and HBO Max shows and stuff like that are somehow copied and bootlegged over, and available.
Yeah. Yeah.
Millions and millions of people watched fucking Game of Thrones every week when it came out, illegally. You know what I'm saying?
Was it like the most pirate show?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The projected numbers were crazy of how many legally watched people watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I remember that when I was growing, like when that show was so popular back then. It was like, wow. Yeah, especially I'm trying to remember. Yeah, like even the finale, like people were like,
some episodes would get 20 million plus illegal downloads, or whatever, just one episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat like going on to Pirate Bay, and there's season 1 through season 6 in one click. And all you got to do is just sit back and watch the torrent engine, bring them on in, and then you can probably now internet speeds are crazy because that helps. It used to be back in the day. There's no way you could do something like that, but
no,
you could do that now and have your whole like 6 seasons of episodes sitting there within an hour. I mean,
yeah.
Before
pirate anything.
Before the streaming service age of everything, like I remember in the free internet, just going out and finding shows that you liked or whatever, and just finding websites randomly or whatever that would have the content and you just watch it,
I remember that. Yeah. I remember that as a kid.
Before Netflix, like you just find content,
Yeah. What you still do, just in a rare exception. Yeah, I think Daily Motion, I don't know, you guys hear about the Daily Motion?
Yeah, I know Daily Motion.
Yeah, like that's where if I cannot find a movie when we review, somehow they've
got it there, huh?
Yeah, got it there.
Nice.
Yeah, because The Last Samurai, the movie that we review like last 2 months ago, like it was hard time to find that movie, and I was like, oh, please tell me you get it. The Daily Motion, and you did. I was like, yeah, I don't care about the subtitles. I'm like, I just need to see this movie.
Daily Motion, man. I haven't thought about that platform in a while, Andres.
I know, but it's useful. I like it.
There's stuff on there that YouTube doesn't have, and I haven't been there in ages, but I know that when I went looking for something on YouTube, couldn't find it. Daily Motion would usually.
Yeah. Oh no, there are some interesting alternative to YouTube sites out there. There are.
Right.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like it's similar to the YouTube. It's just it's it's not like YouTube where you're able to be more express. Like you could do a lot of things with YouTube where Daily Motion, it's like, I don't know, like same thing. But I don't know. Like I never really tried to create an account for that and, see what their offer against, YouTube, But
I don't think they have a lot going on there, honestly.
Yeah. It's just like views, just like YouTube and all that, that's what I heard, so, but yeah. All right. Anyway, so let's get into Fallout. Sorry for the tangent, but hey, we miss each other, and especially Jesse. So we want to take our time, and after last week and me trying to fight the infected and all that. But anyway, as a time travel, folks. But anyway, so. If you haven't seen these shows, it's like you should know me as a time travel, Toxic Lord, Time Lord, whatever nicknames I got over the years as Andreas Pop Culture Guy. So let me start with you, Jesse. What's your opinion? I'm trying to remember. You've been with us previously for season.
No, Jesse's never done Fallout with us before until now.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I just want to kind of hear your thoughts on the show. Do you like it? Have you played the game, of course? And what you thought about this episode? Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I watched all of season 1 of Fallout, I think over the summer of last year. So I think we binged it all in probably about 3 days, if I remember right. I am a fan of the games. While I didn't play like 1 or 2, which I think are the ones that are like isometric and not first person. I can remember when Fallout 3 dropped, like that was, I had to get that game. Like I was going to get that day 0 when it dropped. I was going to buy it. So I bought it for the 360 and played quite a bit of it. I don't know if I beat it or not. I might have. Ended up getting New Vegas and played a good bit of that. And within the last couple of days, I was telling Jeff earlier that I started the season 2. I started season 2 this month. I think it was Monday. So I could get caught up for 6 to talk with you guys. And there's a lot of stuff that I was like recognizing, and it'd been forever since I'd played the New Vegas, that I was recognizing from New Vegas, obviously New Vegas itself, but there was also like when he walks into, is it Mr. House's like lair or something?
Lair.
Like yeah. When at the end of the last episode or in the middle of last episode, so I was like, oh wow, this looks, I remember this from either the game, the end of the game, or the game at some point. So yeah, I've got a little bit of familiarity with the game itself. Now after New Vegas, I did not play any of 4. I think I should scratch that because I think I played the intro of 4 and then that's about it. I didn't get very far. So I played the intro of 4, which I think is where you start out. You're a kid. Maybe that's 3. I can't remember, but I feel like you're a kid, like a little baby, and you're making your way around something. But anyway, did not finish that. Yeah. My son played all of it, and also 76. As much as I'd love to play Fallout 76, it's close to where I'm at. I'm in Southeast Ohio. Not too far from us is Huntington, and of course the Mothman is right around there too. Point Pleasant, excuse me. Huntington's close to that, but anyway, Point Pleasant, and I know that that's kind of where it's set at. I never had a chance to play it. Now, as for the show itself, season 1, loved it. Going through season 2 right now, I don't think it has the charm that I think season 1 had. I feel like we've lost a little bit as we've gone on. I don't know what you guys might be able to help me work through what my issues are with season 2. But there's just not something there that's grabbing me like season 1 was. I don't know if it's just because things are taking a little bit longer or what we're doing here. So there you go. That's kind of where I'm at as far as Fallout goes.
Awesome. Yeah. To answer the baby kid, I think that is 3. Or
Okay.
I think it has to be 3 or 4. It's been a long time. I remember which game is specifically, because I know was it 76 is when like someone gets out from the vault, right? And that's like what inspired the show for the first season.
Okay.
I think it's been a while to remember the specific games. Same. Because
I don't know. Yeah, honestly, Andres, a lot of the games start off where you're in the vault, kind of. That's usually the deal.
Yes. No. That's a good point because I remember when I was doing research when we were doing the first season reviews, I was like, huh. Like it's like John Wick is like, okay, we're starting here, and it's like, wait a minute, it's a similar pattern. It's like we're starting with the bolts, and then like we go from there. But yeah,
at least in the original games, that was kind of a staple. Was you'd have your vault experience at the beginning of the game, and then you'd move forward, after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember at the end of season 1 thinking that this was probably one of the most faithful representations of a video game for sure, because there's been plenty of attempts to bring a video game IRL and it didn't look great and it wasn't done very well. Fallout season 1 made me go, okay, they nailed this. This is probably one of the best ones that I've seen. So kudos to them for doing that.
Yeah, we're in a good age of good video game adaptations.
There just isn't really a big vocal fandom for Fallout as a video game. It doesn't really have that kind of energy or whatever, I guess, and so there's nobody really shouting out that accuracy, Jesse. But you're right.
Yeah. Well, this show doesn't really. It's that's the reason I like Batman so much, because this show does a really good job at mixing up like the versions of the Fallout games and mix it into one, which is great. Like first season, like you could say, is a mix of like
they're doing a game per season, I believe, sir.
Yeah, for first season it felt like 76 mixed with 3, I think, and then this season is very obvious, New Vegas. The other question, just wrapping up with you, Jesse. I think for me this season is just we got a lot of plot lines, and is like I care about one plot line, and I mean all of us have mentioned it for the last 5 weeks or 6, whatever. That the Ghoul and Lucy storyline is very interesting, but the stuff with I don't mind the Volt storyline, but like the one we're getting into, the one with Betty and the random Volts is like, I don't like really want that. I care more of like the intrigue of like what Stephanie is doing, and then the Max and Brotherhood stuff is like it's supposed to be interesting, but then it's like I just don't care, and the pace is very slow, as Jeff's been saying before, and I kind of agree with him. Like it's a very slow show, and it's like okay,
Yeah, it's a slog.
yeah. So that's something I had to kind of agree with you about, especially because like I wasn't here last Friday, and I had to catch up for 5 to understand this episode, and I did doze off a little bit when I was trying to.
Dude, I said the same thing to Jeff before we got on here. I was like, I've had to fight sleep. And I wasn't sick. I wasn't sick, dude. So
yeah, I know. I always hate that when I had to like watch a show for a review, and it's like, oh God, I did doze off. Oh my God, I had to do it again.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Great. Thank goodness we have someone that knows about the games a little bit. It's always important to like know certain things. Jeff, your opinion about episode 4? What you thought? Sorry, not episode 4. I'm sorry, episode 6. What do you thought about episode 6?
Oh, I mean, honestly, just to kind of bounce off of Jesse, I really I'm on the same page with him. And mirror him as far as his opinions of season 2. I respect, Cyber's opinion and your opinion, Andres, about, Fallout or any show that we cover together or whatever, if you really like something and I just don't get it and don't like it, like, I'm fine with that. But, honestly, I just flat out feel like, the show's kind of fallen off a bit, for whatever reason. I can't really 100% nail down exactly what the culprit is. I can't, identify it vocally that well yet. Maybe over time, by the end of the season, I'll be able to, but just feels a little different than season 1 did. The feel is a little different. It definitely crawls. The pace of the show crawls at time. If you're somebody that doesn't like slower paced television, in general, if that's just not your deal, then you're not going to like Fallout, because Fallout's the only show I've ever watched, that's slow. I've seen other TV shows before that I thought were entertaining, that were still slowly paced, but for whatever reason, the way that Fallout is designed as a show, it just it crawls at times, but especially with the mix of flashbacks and then jumping from storyline to storyline throughout the episode, they, as they always do, there can be a real sense of a crawl going on through some of that, there's always that risk when you introduce flashbacks into an element of like flashbacks into a film or a TV show, to some degree, whether it's heavily or just occasionally or whatever. But if you use that element or embrace that element a lot, if you make it a major storyline in an entire television show like Fallout, like they have, there's always that risk that, things like flashback scenes can be boring at times, they can get kind of stale or kind of drab, at times because, it's, all they are like, retellings of past events. And, you're not going to invest a lot of, money and time into those recreations, for those flashbacks. I think, the fall asleep sort of moments, if you're ever going to have one watching Fallout, are probably during flashback scenes, at times. I can see that rabbit hole, like why that would pop up. Episode 6 was like a very solid filler episode, I think runtime, I think that it was like, if I had to guess, I think it was 52 minutes, I think, altogether. But like 5 or 6 or 7 minutes of that is the end credits, So, the actual episode length was in the 40 minutes range, the 40-ish, 40-minute-ish range. I felt like it was, Fallout's usually I'm usually pretty happy with the episode lengths, with Fallout. I've never really had a problem with that category when it comes to the show. But this did feel like a pretty quick episode. Like it kind of just, was over pretty quick. And, which was okay. I didn't feel like that hurt the episode. But it was definitely a very, in my opinion, fillerish, at the very least, style episode of a TV show, episode 6. There was some reveal type stuff that did occur, kind of, some newer information and things that did occur, that sort of pushed the overall story of the show or whatever, towards the, the goal line a little bit. But it was very small, in that category as far as, that sort of output in episode 6. Not a lot of that happened, they just sort of like barely touched almost on some of the storylines that are going on in the season. They didn't really heavily get into them at all, like Maximus's storyline, has kind of really gotten very low key at this point in the season. Hopefully they'll come back in episode 7 and spend more time with him. And we'll see what's going to happen with him overall in the season, now that he's left the Brotherhood of Steel, right? He abandoned his armor, so, overall, episode 6 was a positive episode. I thought it was a good watch. I didn't think it was like, a negative episode or anything like that, but it did have some filler vibes, Andres.
Yeah. It's good that you brought up the flashbacks because, obviously if you, have been slipping on a rock for the show, but, Jonathan Nolan and his wife, have produced Westworld. If you haven't seen that show from HBO, another big one that was so famous about flashbacks and non-linear storyline. If you haven't seen, the works of the Nolans, it's really here, and I'm fine with that. I'm a big fan of, Jonathan Nolan. Like, I mean, the guy did Dark Knight with his brother, so but that's like the rare section of them doing it like a ABC structure, but like stuff like, the Prestige and Interstellar, like I always love those like crazy messed up with the timelines, and I'm fine with that, but you have to keep it, straight and like, be clear about the timeline and all that, because I agree with you, Jeff, that, sometimes you will doze off because like, what? Like, jumping back and forth is really like time consuming, and like it's gonna be hard for me to like pay attention to what you're trying to do. And I mean, for the most part, I'm with the show. Like thankfully, like the timeline is not like far. Like we're still in the year, like we're still in the months before the bombing is gonna happen. In October. Like we're way far from that. So at least there's a clear timeline, like a time of like where we're at in the flashbacks. With Cooper and all that. And we'll get into it. I like what we're doing with it because that's the like at least I'm in stream with that. I just it's just this season we have so much going on, and that's like they're trying to be ambitious about this stuff, and it's really hard for me to care about certain things, and it's like I don't need that, as I said before previously, like I only care about 2 storylines that this feels more important. But also it's just like last season, because our main characters were separated, and then towards the end of season 1 they merge, and it was like very satisfying because I think that's the same thing with this season. It's like we having our characters separated, and it's like I know like towards the end of the season it's gonna merge, right? And so hopefully they can land that. I can't believe it. We only have 2 episodes left to review. I just checked. I was like,
Wow.
how many weeks we have, and it's only 8, just like last season. Yeah, so it's crazy. Okay, Saber, you're next. what are your thoughts about episode 6? 6. That's what I'm
All
saying.
right.
Go ahead.
Episode 6. I absolutely loved this episode. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I didn't feel it was fillerish at all. I thought it was really fantastic. I like that we got that brief little bit of the Brotherhood of Steel characters, Maximus himself, and of course his little ghoul friend, as I like to call him, the ghoul friend. Anyways, I think that was great. That I like how they have not had him in it as much as the first season. I actually have liked that because I don't feel his character was anything that great to begin with. I didn't care for his acting. I didn't think he was that great of an actor. So this episode, giving him brief moments, like as he's pretty much had this whole season, I think is perfect for him. I think that works out well for his acting. And that worked, I thought, really well for this episode. But overall, this episode was just so much fun. The backstory, getting to see more about the relationship with, Harold and his wife, and kind of, the things going on there. We get that kind of that great like ensemble kind of why is her name blanking me right now? The main girl, what's her name?
Elle Fennel.
Yeah. No. Her name of the
Lucy?
show. Lucy.
Lucy. Yeah, Lucy.
Yeah, totally blanked Lucy. But Lucy's character and then her father, I think that was great. We got to see kind of them finally kind of connect again and see kind of their relationship after he kidnapped her last episode. And then you had kind of like that interesting like history of kind of more leading up to the, what was going to, come down to the explosions that ended up, taking out the world. So I think that was all really fun. I love that they gave us that history, that backstory. And then, of course, the ghoul, we get to see the ghoul finally get taken off of that stupid pole that, Lucy pushed him on, and him being healed. That was freaking cool, too. So, I mean, this episode had everything in it, from action to great story to great dialect to just great, like, history lesson. And I was really impressed with it. It was really fun.
Awesome. Great. Let's get into the recap, folks. No, I kind of agreed about what you're saying, Saber. Whenever we see, Kyle McGowan, right? Great actor. If you haven't seen, the '84 Dune and the Blue Velvet, and of course for me, I first saw him in the Flintstones. He was the main villain, which I forgot. He's fantastic. But yeah, I kind of agree. I do enjoy that Max, the kid from the Brotherhood, is being spared in this season, because I agree with you, because I never liked that character. I don't know why. It's just I felt like he was kind of there. He's definitely the weak point. So I'm happy that this season they're kind of spreading his storyline like bits, which is good. No offense, but I just feel like the whole Brotherhood thing is such a cliche thing from like other like typical sci-fi apocalypse storyline. If you know what I mean, like it's like I already seen this before. I don't need to deal with this like rebellion and like like it just goes to like Star Wars and whatever storyline. But let's get into it, because I like how this episode starts here. First up, it's titled "The Other Player," and it's directed by Lisa Joy Nolan. This is the wife of Jonathan Nolan. So that already kind of shows how really unique this episode is. We get our new like character title flashback. Because we saw that with the ghoul, Lucy and Max when we first introduced them in the pilot last season. We got Barb, and Barb is a big focus here. So we see her doing like watching this presentation, the nuclear bombs at Vault-Tec, and like and like what could look best when the world comes to the end, which is funny. And like she's seeing all these pictures, like from the how much the cloud is gonna be big, the water trip was just funny. And like they even know like how it's gonna be fail, which is like kind of hilarious. It's like I love how like gamey it is, because that's how you play those kind of games. They always tell you like, oh, this is how much the chip is going to destroy, and et cetera, et cetera. So I really dug that. And then she's told that she has to choose which volts had to like run our water, which that was interesting to hear. And then another presentation revolves around like a preeminent highway lines in Los Angeles for best customers. Like I was like, what the heck is going on here? Like, like this is definitely like not the job I want in the dystopian future. And then we get yet again the fake rubber house, and now that we reveal that Justin Thoreau's like version of house is the real house, and that this guy we saw from first season is just a fake house, and like he brings in the what is it, the cold fusion that we saw with the doctor that was played by Michael Harrison from the Person of Interest show, the fusion that he had in his head. So that was very unique, and that's going to be a major plot in the flashback, which was kind of cool and neat to kind of pay off what was going on with that. And we kind of end with that flashback because he said that what are you going to do with this cold fusion? And by the way, Hank is in this scene too, so he sees the cold fusion as well. So like we already tied that up. Like he know about this before, during his lifetime as a Voltec employee, and he says like is above your pay grade. And then we kind of cut to I think credits to fill out, and it looks like the chip that we see Weber House as the chip for the mind control, which was kind of cool. And because we're gonna see that it's functional now after last week. So let me stop there. Let me start with you, Jess. What you thought about this opening flashback with Barb and the whole presentation and all that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that did strike me as very funny that they were working on marketing techniques because we the bombs are going to drop. Well, let's make sure this this photograph that we're going to put out there, definitely shows that it's going to be this large of a mushroom cloud because we want to scare people enough to get into these vaults. Yeah, that was interesting. You can tell on Barb's face, like, she is. I don't know, at this point in the show, you're starting to wonder if she's recognizing what exactly she is part of. Clearly she's doing this. She knows the whole plan, but and that it's going to involve hurting a lot of people. And this is going to come out later in the episode. We're going to find out that maybe she doesn't feel like maybe she's not so invested in doing this to being part of Vault-Tec, or maybe there's something that is motivating her to be part of it for some reason. I mean, if I was in her position and I knew that there were going to be atomic bombs dropped, I guess if there's no way to get away from it, then all right, I'm going to have to be a player in it and hopefully be able to somehow work it so that my family's taken care of. But yeah, you get this sense that with Barb, that, maybe things aren't so, she's not so happy with her position and what she's doing. And yeah, the mind control bug or the mind control thing that you were talking about in the title screen, very cool, very cool. So yeah, I mean, I'm on board so far. As we get into this episode, I don't think I have anything else to add to it there, according to my notes here. So there you go.
Nope. Thank you, Jess. Yeah, it's a very quick flashback, but it just shows more of like her character because she's gonna be like we get more of her opinion about the situation because later on, it's not a big secret. Like Howard tells her, like, I know what you say. You want to nuke us all out, and it's like, oh my god, that quickly, Anyway, Jeff, your thoughts on this midsection of Barb doing the presentation? The end point is pretty much her crying and seeing the picture of her family after that Robert House fake showing the cold fusion.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm still kind of struggling with trying to grasp exactly what cold fusion is at this point. This is like the fucking, 127th time they fucking brought up cold fusion in flashbacks, fucking in real time, during real time scenes, cold fusion. You know, it's still around, like, you know, in the wastelands, you know, they're still talking about it or whatever, right? I don't know. Like, I'm assuming it's some sort of fuel source or something like that. Like, I'm guessing that's what it is, right? You know,
It is.
Was that fucking thing that was in that that glass jar or whatever, that, like, you know, that like light or whatever that Maximus had, is that cold fusion?
Yes, that's the one that they retrieved from last season with the girl. I forgot her name. It's Murdor. I can't.
Well, whatever. Bottom line,
whatever. Yeah,
you
bottom line
know,
is from the first season.
bottom line, if they need to actually do something with cold fusion at some point, you know, like if they're gonna have this element of cold fusion pop up this much, you know what I'm saying? It needs to actually accomplish something at some point, you know, like they need to power that fucking thing into something and like show that it, you know, provides fuel or does something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, just having it fucking hanging out, you know, in some glass container or whatever, you know, shiny glass, you know, object or whatever the fuck it is, really, it's not, you know, it's having no purpose at this point, you know. If it's that powerful, I want to see it do something. You know, it's like it's you know, very like interesting of the show and of the Fallout universe, the games too, that you have the whole element of you know, the same exact technologies being like, you know, like cutting edge new technologies that are like, you know, in demand, that were around during the flashback period of the show, you know, like those same, you know, like you know, substances or things, you know what I'm saying, are still what's cutting edge or what's, you know, out there now. You know, like, you know, whatever it is, 200 years like later or whatever, you know, wherever we're at in the you know, Fallout timeline, you know, it can become a little bit elusive at times, remembering, you know, all of the overall details of, like, you know, where we're at in time, you know, currently in Fallout as a show, you know, like there's a lot going on there, you know, a lot going on with the things like the vaults and people, you know, freezing themselves for, you know, 40, 50 years at a time and shit like that. That just makes things kind of messy when it comes to trying to, you know, relate to sort of, you know, how far in the future we're actually at times, you know, from the flashback, you know, time period, right? But I believe it's been, like, the ghoul says he's been alive for, like, you know, over 100 years. So it's been like 100+ years or whatever since the bombs fell, you know, at least, if not more. You know,
200 years, I think you say in this episode.
Yeah, that's what I said. 200 years, I think it is. So it's like, you know, it's kind of for one thing, it's fucking insane that, like, by becoming a ghoul, you can actually, like, live that long. That on its own is actually very interesting, you know. You know, like, I'd love it actually if they would actually explain more about, like, that process, like how, you know, how, like, becoming a ghoul works more, you know, like scientifically, you know, and like what actually happens to you, you know, that, like, you know, to your body, like what the changes are that allow you to actually, like, you know, become, you know, not needing to eat anymore, you know, and, like, you know, like, you know, being able to, like, you know, being vulnerable, you know, from, like, being shot and shit like that, or stabbed, you know what I'm saying, and still survive afterwards, you know, like, whatever that process is, that ghoulization or whatever is interesting, you know. You know, I mean, it's hardcore, you know, like, I mean, it totally, like, changes your whole fucking, like, physiology or whatever, you know. You don't have to eat food anymore to sustain yourself, you know, like, essentially you don't need water anymore, you know, like, you know,
radiation and drugs to keep you alive, that's it.
Yeah, you know, you know, but they don't really explain all that, you know, like, you know, what exactly is in those vials that the ghoul takes, you know, and what exactly do they really, what do they really do? You know what I mean? Like, you know, to him, you know, like that allows him to stave off the feral ghoul condition, you know. In the games, they don't have a character like the ghoul, you know, or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the ghoul was just a really smart, you know, creation that they came up with for the game, you know, the show, you know, as a character, you know what I'm saying? But there is no actual character in the games that I know of that's similar to the ghoul, you know. There are like sane ghouls in the games that, like, can talk and interact with you and stuff like that, and like, are similar to the ghoul. They function in the wasteland and, live and, they're not feral and shit like that, but none of them are like, have this grand backstory, that the ghoul has going on, as characters, he really is sort of like the main character of Fallout when you really kind of like boil it down. Since he basically dominates a lot of the flashback scenes at times, he really it becomes his show almost, which is cool, I mean, honestly, a good actor, spent a lot on a couple different shows and played some good characters and, honestly, they're going to have to be pretty creative with this television show when it came to adapting the games, just because, again, the basic, RPG style functioning of the video games, like, being very simple, basic, big world, RPG type games where you just walk around and shoot shit, essentially, right? It's very basic. Doesn't have a lot of, characters in those games, those stories in the games where you're really going to be able to, bring them over to a show, really, I mean, there may very well be a Lucy, honestly. I can't remember in the games, like there could be a Lucy character at some point, there may have been one, because you do honestly start off as like a chick that from the vault in like at least one or two of the popular games. That's how you start off. That's your main character is like, you can't like choose or change it. You are like some young chick from the vault.
I think it's in 3 or 76 where we get like a female protagonist that needs to go out.
I think in New Vegas, you can actually choose what kind of character you want to be at some point, can't you?
I was going to say, I think there's a creative person there, I think in New Vegas for sure, where you can choose. I think you can choose your gender, and then of course you go through all your stats. I could be mixing that up with Skyrim.
No, not every game do they make you have to be like a multi or whatever. They do let you actually choose your character in some of the games.
I think it's a couple of Fallout games that you allowed to do that. Like I think 76 you could do that, and then I think 4 New Vegas. I'm a little like I don't remember is there, but
me either.
Well, I mean, they've done a lot of different stuff, I mean, they made the vaults this, massive part of the show,
yes,
and the backstory of the main storyline of the show and all that, and in the games, the vaults are just places that you occasionally stumble across on missions, occasionally, or you start off in a vault as like that, as your character, and then you go off and explore the rest of the wasteland after that. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the basis of like, the games, I'm I like the, what they've done, with the vault stuff. And, as far as, this section of the episode goes, I guess would just say that, I like where the flashbacks are at in this episode. I love that they're actually finally getting to an end point of where they're getting closer to like the actual dropping of the bombs period, like Andres mentioned. I'm glad we're getting there, like that we're heading in that direction. Because I like the flashback scenes and that storyline a lot more when I understand what's happening and what's going on. And at times I haven't felt like I have. So they did a good job right off the bat with that, having Howard address his wife and what she's doing and all that, and finally, calling her out on it and all that. So that was cool that they're finally addressing some of that really important stuff in the backstory flashback stuff. And besides that, it's very like Fallout, that the ghoul is literally impaled by some huge stake, in the ground or some pole, and nobody will actually assist him or even like lift his bag up to him, or anything like that. Only in like the Fallout world in that universe will absolutely nobody
you just walk around him. He's just a street ornament. And you just walk around him. It's bad.
Yeah, and most television shows out there, like if you were in that impaled, condition like that or whatever, somebody would walk up to you and like help you or address your situation,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I was not shocked that the dog did not come through and save the day and like hand him the bag or the vials, or whatever, because as we all know, like most dogs don't really, obey commands that are that, complicated like that. You're asking a lot from a dog to ask a dog to like expect to understand you. Like when you try to demand a dog to do things like that, you're really going against, what they're really capable of. So any expectation of like, a dog actually coming through in life or death circumstances like that, on command, only in like certain movies and stuff like that or whatever. Do you have that ever happen? I mean, honestly, it's very rare that dogs ever, or cats ever understand what you're asking for when you're in life or death circumstances and they're there and can help, as many times as a dog has come through and saved somebody, its owner, 99 other times the dog just has like licked itself, while their owner's dying, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the reality of a dog, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and this dog me. It's like a very new like birth dog, right? From last season. Like it's not like a very old dog, like it's been like in the ropes, like some other animals,
the dog, the dog meet the dog in the show is not as capable as a companion, as a dog meet in the video game where he actually like fights, and is a combatant and stuff like that, like he's like an extra layer of defense when you're out there roaming the wastelands of the game because, like if anybody attacks you, dog meat fights back for you. Like he's the first one that fights back, or gets attacked a lot of times, I definitely remember my times like having dog meat, in the games. I don't know if that was New Vegas that they added that concept that you could have companions like that. I
think the dogs were there from the beginning. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I just remember that having the dog as a companion is a valuable thing in the game at some point. It does help you. At other times, you don't need the dog. It's not like it's not that necessary to have going on. You're just as capable of fighting death claws and whether or not you can actually take down a death claw in combat. With like a couple shots or whatever. Like Jesse said, is very much based on your stats. And and your game experience and stuff like that, whether or not you have a dog meat with you, when it comes to like fighting death claws, dog meat is not really a big fucking bonus in like a death claw conflict situation,
Right, dude.
Death claws are badass motherfuckers as villains.
They are.
If you try to step to a death claw in the beginning of the game when you're not even like statted up or whatever or leveled up, you will die. They kill you. Luckily, they don't make you bump into death claws that much in the games until later on when you're more, experienced or whatever, and can actually fight them.
Was episode 5 the first appearance of the death claws in the series? They were.
Yes.
The first appearance. Yeah.
I was looking at my wife yelling, "Hey, it's a death claw!" She has no idea what I'm talking about, but I was all excited. I was waiting for this creature to show up in this show, and it finally did. So, good stuff. Yeah, I don't want to fuck with the death claw.
Well, I don't think we'll see a lot of them overall in the show.
Right.
I think what we saw is pretty much what we're going to get. But they are cool. It is as always, like again, just to bump off Jesse. It's great to see the nod to the game whenever possible. Right, it's always good to see. So kudos to the producers and all that for the the time and effort to make sure that they have all that game stuff involved. The only other thing I'll just say is that I'm not really the Hank kidnapping Lucy and her waking up in that weird vault deal or whatever the fuck she's at or whatever is like not the most interesting concept or story for me really, like that whole deal, like where that's gonna go, I don't know, her mission to like arrest him or whatever, and take him back to Vault 33 or whatever for justice or whatever the fuck she's trying to do. Yeah, I mean, I'm whatever with that, I like Kyle MacLachlan, right? And I think he's a nice addition to the show. But I'm really like, sort of just kind of wondering, like, really what his major purpose is at this point in season 2. You know, at this point, you know, like what is he really accomplishing with whatever he's doing in like his scenes at times? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like I get it. He's like, you know, putting implants in people's necks and all this kind of crap, right? But like, what is the end game? You know what I'm saying? Like with that character, kind of, you know, is where I'm at with him. You know, you know.
I mean, I guess it's because of Rubber House. He probably wants like a bunch of like controlled people to like run now this new land that has been.
No, the Rubber House is the computer now, and like in the games, he's not a real. He's not a person anymore.
Yeah, well, we don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do that in this show.
Yeah, they have. I'm sure.
Maybe.
That's why he's not around. If he was in human form in the real life, they'd have already showed him in season 2. He's a computer or whatever, like in the games, and that's why he doesn't associate with or deal with Kyle MacLachlan's Hank character or anything like that, because he doesn't interact with other Volt Tech people and stuff like that now. You know, he's all digitized, so he doesn't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, he's an AI.
He's just busy. He's a computer program type that concept or whatever in the games. That's how he survives, like from the fallout, is by somehow carrying his consciousness over into like a digital form or whatever, and he runs like his version of Vegas, like New Vegas or whatever, you know, like in the wastelands as the computer, you know, and he has like assistants and handy bots and stuff like that work for him and shit like that. So I'm sure they'll probably pay that off at some point in season 2. We'll see the computer robot or whatever version of House. But you know, it's very much like the Fallout show for them to have him be a computer or something like that, Andre. That's why I'm pretty sure it will happen. They're being very loyal to the game.
Very faithful. Yeah.
Yeah, very faithful. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I'm very curious where they're gonna do with this. Yeah, because it's kind of funny that because is the mind control thing from the game too? Like,
not that I know of, but then again, I haven't played all the games, and there's quite a few of them. So all I'm saying is that I don't know if we got this far, but this whole like willingness by Hank to let Lucy just like kidnap him and take him wherever the fuck she wants, all this shit. I don't really understand that 100% with his character, like why he would be okay like that with everything. You know, like I always thought he kind of had an agenda or like had goals and things like that. That's why we see him all the time in season 2. You know, doing experiments and doing shit, you know, and experimenting on people and all this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I just don't really understand the logic of why all of a sudden he would just be so defeatist, with life or whatever, and just be like, okay, Lucy, kidnap me, you know. But that's all.
We haven't gone there yet. But I think just to answer 2 of your questions, Jeff. Like, Hank. I think Hank is such a good manipulator to these kind of situations, and like he's manipulating the daughter right now, and like just getting his way, as we've seen previously. And I just want to answer the cold fusion, because I actually went to Fallout wiki, and because I have the same question as you, is like, what the hell is the cold fusion? And apparently is a nuclear reaction like a near room temperatures, while is allowing for like nearly a limitless power generation. So like generator. So like it can power like a limited power for like a city, as we saw last season, in the first season.
Yeah, okay, I get that, but it looks like a doohickey that would do all that. But the question is, what about the infrastructure that you need to actually facilitate that power occurring? You know what I'm saying? Like, does that even exist anymore in the wasteland of what's left of,
there was an episode where I think it was a couple episodes ago where they were they had the meeting inside with all the other clans.
Yes.
And he brings out a briefcase and he shows like these, I think they're power cells.
They're power fusion for the suits. Yeah.
So did he create those? Because he was telling them that this right here, I have enough to do it for the rest of human history or something like that. So I don't know if they had already started using it and creating these power cells, because when it gets, they have to go and snatch it, right? Like Maximus goes and snatches it, or somebody goes and snatches it. I feel like it was possibly in use at that point. So I think they have something, but now they took it from the Enclave and that's kind of where we left last episode, and so I feel like it's kind of there. But there's only a few big people that have the opportunity to use it.
Yeah, to have the technology to actually be able to plug it into something and
Right.
make it work, there's only going to be certain people are left over in the desert that be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
Brotherhood, are going to have, the capabilities, like other groups like the Legion potentially, or whatever would have, the ability to whatever,
Right.
Yeah, because the power was created by Kate Williams, the person that was like the fake Volt 4 that infiltrate Volt 33 in the first season, and she's the one that is pursuing Cooper in the past to like assassinate Howard Rubber House in the Vegas. Pursuing him to do the assassination. But yeah, that was something I was kind of confused about. But anyway, let's get to Cyber. Cyber, what are your thoughts about this flashback of Barb doing the presentation? The end point is like her crying because after hearing the code, seeing the cold fusion, and then like we see the last shot of her like crying, seeing the picture of her family. That's the end point. So go ahead. Hopefully he. Yes. Okay.
What was the section again that we're talking about?
The flashback of seeing the wife, seeing the presentations, and the endpoint is pretty much that end of that flashback. Go ahead.
Okay. So I mean, that whole flashback is really interesting. I mean, we get more in depth into the great, awesome, character that is Harold's, or is
Barb?
Harold's. What? Barb's character.
Yeah.
Yep. Barb's character, who is really awesome. It's fun that we get to see all what she's, what her role is and everything, because as we saw in the first season, we briefly touched on Barb. We knew the ghoul was looking for her and everything, and seeing if she was still alive or not. And we kind of had little flashbacks of kind of her, but we didn't really get deep into what exactly she really was involved with. And then this sequence here gave us even more in depth, how she proceeded, how she was like, yeah, I don't like this idea. This is a bad idea. But at the same time, she's like, I got really no choice type of deal. And so you kind of finally get kind of that, answer to kind of where Barb was at kind of mentally with what was going on, because she knew what was going on. She was being told because she was higher up in the, the hierarchy and all this kind of stuff, and she still, you could tell that she didn't like it, but she did it because she was trying to save her family. So this great flashback gives you kind of a more in-depth look into Barb and kind of her history, which I think really worked out really well. It gave us that great, kind of history lesson. Plus, also, we got to see a little bit more of, the ghoul as his normal self, and talking with her and everything. And kind of like where he was at the situation. And I just think it's a really solid beginning to the episode and works out very well.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's a really good solid start. Because
Andres, I didn't mean to talk way beyond the point that you set and everything, sir, but I just did not know why you didn't go farther into the episode. So that's why I went as far as I did. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. I mean, there's like a lot to impact this episode, so there's still plenty to talk about. So let's get into the Lucy stuff, because I think that's one we can kind of get that rid of, because there's just I was we got 2 episodes left. I'm surprised that now the microchip is working. Last week we know that Hank discovered that to control the people, he has to use like the ghouls or the mutants in the world, because somehow they're like easy to control than like a regular human and mice. I was like, oh, okay. And so after the flashback, we meet again Lucy, who like wakes up in the secret vault tank facility we've been seeing throughout this last 5 episodes, right? With Hank doing the experiments, and so she makes her way through like the facility where she like learns that Hank has been like kidnapping the wastelanders and brainwashing them to build more control chips, which was so funny. Like you get the classic 50 song, and like you see that like at first I was like, what they're doing? They're dancing, and then I didn't realize they're making the chip, and I was like, wow, okay, they're doing that. So that was a good scene, and then she kind of reaching like a simulation room model after her apartment in the Vault 33, and that's where she meets up with her dad Hank. And this was my favorite scene. Just them. First, bringing up the famous book, the All Quiet the Western Front. If anyone knows, that's been adapted, and there's a new one that's in Netflix, which became a big Oscar nominee film. And I really like this because we haven't seen them together like from last season, just like one episode and then the last episode from the finale, and it's cool to see them together. And you see how Lucy is just so disgusted what her dad did with Shady Sands, as we know from last season, with her mom. And as Lucy, as this like very naive person, she wants to like bring him to justice, which I'm like, what? Okay, I don't know what the full 33 people will do about this, but okay. And then as Jeff brought up before, Hank is so like good at talking his way out. Like you've seen these with characters like like I don't know, like Walter White from Breaking Bad. Like he thinks he's doing the good intentions, but like all he's doing is the bad stuff, and like he knows what he's doing is really bad. Like Hank know what he was doing, like in the bombing of the Shady Sands, because of this could prevent what Voltec was trying to do for this like bizarre, what was it, the recontamination day, whatever we've been hearing throughout the season. And yeah, he's just trying to manipulate Lucy and like try to get get out of this like situation. And I think I'm gonna stop. After he kind of like grabs the handcuffs in the drawer. Lucy tells her like, "Let me show you this," and they like kind of leave. So let me stop there. That's the end point for this. So let me go to you, Jeff. What do you thought about this section? Lucy waking up, seeing her dad using these like Westlanders and brainwashing them to make more control chips, and then beating up her dad and talking and like trying to bring him to justice. Go ahead.
Oh, I already talked about that, sir. I'm not going to say anything about it now.
Yeah.
I already crossed over into all that earlier and talked about it. So all I'll just say is the use of the addition of that group of like stupid people or whatever that are all conditioned and that Hank found in the wasteland and like converted or whatever. I don't know. Like honestly, when Fallout does weird stuff like that and adds weird things like that at times, I'm just kind of whatever about it, to tell you the truth. People like that, on a TV show that are that stupid or whatever, are only useful for so long, as characters, I don't think we're going to see a lot, anything more from those people later on in season 2 or anything like that, So that was just something that they kind of added in there, to kind of add to, Hank's sort of, or Bud, what is Lucy's dad's name?
Hank. That's his name.
Yeah, they're just trying to add to Hank's sort of, back, sort of side story that he's been going on, adding more to that. And again, I'm just, I'm not super invested into that, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I definitely think that Hank is definitely manipulating Lucy. He obviously would not be going with her, to Vault 33 or whatever, unless he wanted to do that, unless that worked, unless that serviced to, his goals or like, was okay with his plans, I believe he does have an overarching goal still in the world, as a character, as a person, sort of in the story of Fallout. He still has a purpose, which, you know, so a lot of characters don't at this point in the Fallout universe, you know, in the Wasteland, you know, they don't have that kind of purpose really, you know, there's not that much organization really left over in the world, you know. But Hank is one of the few people that does still sort of quasi have a role kind of, you know, in the world, you know, potentially kind of. You know, that's it.
Awesome. Cyber, you're next. What do you thought about the section of Lucy waking up and meeting her dad for the first time in a while and trying to bring him back to Vault 33? Go ahead. That's the end point. Them leaving that room.
This is a great section. I thought this was probably one of Lucy's best moments when she creeps her way out of that room after waking up, and she's about to hit those guys with the fire extinguisher, and they're just like, "Hello," and you're just like, "What the fuck is going on here? Like, why are they so pleasant? Like, what? They look like hardened criminals. Like, what the? Like, what?" And then she makes her way to, you know, to find her dad. And she comes across those different people, a few people, and she sees things. And then she gets there and to the whatever area it is that they're in. I think it's their old apartment that they were at before or whatever. And so they, you know, he's there and he's like prepping food or whatever. And he's like, "Oh," it's like, "Welcome." And they have like their conversation and stuff like that. And she's just kind of very silent as he's talking and stuff like that. And, you know, basically kind of how she acts, I think, is hilarious because she thinks she's so tough, but she really is not. And, you know, still very naive, you know, even though she's, you know, been out in this world now for a little bit, she's still very naive and being stuck in, you know, Vault 33 for so many years, you know, almost her whole life, you know. So I think it's kind of funny how she's like trying to be all like, "I got to take you in" and shit like that. And that is kind of funny. And, you know, he's like just cordial about it. "Okay, you might want to use these," and takes out the handcuffs. You're just like, "You're willingly going, bro? Like, what's going on here? Like, what's your end game, bro?" And so it's kind of like, there's got to be something more to this that, you know, allowing her to take him in is going on. And you're just kind of like very suspicious about that because it felt like that. And, you know, so they have their conversation, everything, and he kind of explains things, and she's kind of like bewildered, but she's like, "I'm going to take you," you know, and she handcuffs him, and then they end up, you know, leaving the room. So I think it's a really great section. I think it's probably one of Lucy's finest moments I've seen from her. And I think it just was a really great, you know, kind of fun, like father-daughter thing. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great portion of the episode.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I really love that scene. I think the acting from Kyle is really amazing there. Jesse, your thoughts on this section of Lucy waking up and finding out the true intentions of her dad.
Right.
And the end point is them like leaving that room. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just real shortly, you guys covered pretty much everything. I think our big thing that we've been kind of waiting for is like, what is she going to actually do when she comes and meets up with her dad? Is she going to actually try to bring him to justice? That's what she's been saying this whole time. And I think at one point the ghoul kind of asks her, like, "What are you going to do?" This is a great question. What are you going to do when you finally do find who you're looking for? And we kind of get that answer. We see that she's going to, she pulls a knife on him and says, "You're coming back to the vault with me and you're going to face justice." And yeah, he grabs the handcuffs, and you know, one of two things is going through your mind. Is he just giving up, or is it a situation where, like, okay, he knows the manipulation you mentioned there earlier, Andreas, is like, you know, is he using her in some way, or hoping that she will see it his way? And that's kind of where we leave things, is like, he's like, "Okay, just let me, you know, I'll go with you, no problem." We'll see what happens. See if he's able to weasel his way out of this, or if he's actually going to go back. He seems pretty genuine to me. Put me in handcuffs. Let's go.
Yeah. I don't know what he's gonna do. It's just so good at talking his way out, and it's like, oh God, please.
And the flashbacks of him and with Hank, you know, he seems really meek. You know, he's not very confident in the flashbacks, to me at least. It seems like he's always kind of like in the background, kind of slinking away. And then now, you know, in the future here, you know, and in the vault, when he meets, it seems like he's got a lot more confidence. Or at least he's trying to do something that he believes in. And again, he was a vault leader, right? So
Yeah.
he obviously probably, you know, gained some confidence over the years. But regardless, yeah, it's interesting. It's setting us up to see what we're going to find out here in a few.
Yeah, well, like I think it's because like you know he became a married man, just like Howard, and like he had something to lose, and like the fact that he took the big risk of just destroying Shady Sands for first get his daughter back, but but to prevent that like rebuilding of society, which was not supposed to happen, as exactly
Right.
Voltec did, so there's like a lot of progression he has become, because I agree, like he looks so different from like the flashbacks because he's like meek, and it just it's just experience he faced. Yeah, very interesting. I am very curious, like how, like, and of course, he'd been a Volt leader for a long time. So,
Right.
as you were saying for Jesse, I forgot about that too. And fortunately, Betty's not having the control she's having. We'll get to it. So let's get into the ghoul. So in New Vegas, the ghoul is still impaled on the pole, which was kind of crazy. And while desperately reaching out for the medicine, which we kind of discussed before, the dog didn't help. He instead grabs the hand instead, which is like bad dog, bad stupid dog. you know. But at the same time, like he he becomes like he may stuck, he gets sicker and sicker, and like he becomes more like the actual ghouls that we see in the Fallout universe, which was kind of creepy, I have to say, like him like turning in. And of course, we seen this before. Like his one friend was trying to like keep his sanity, like trying to remember his name, and like Cooper is doing that, like trying to like keep his humanity by like saying that I'm Cooper Howard, I'm looking for my family and like all that, and like he has a daughter he's trying to save and search, and so like before he like turns into one of these, right? Between the screaming and crying, like he's trying to keep his humanity, and then like he's trying to get his energy to like pull himself off, which he tried, but then bam, it goes back down. Was I was like, oh damn, and like explodes blood and all that, and so like all hope is lost. But sometime later, this like random massive creature comes around and cuts the pole, pulling the ghoul off of it and drag him to the church. And then I'll wrap this up with in terms of the ghoul storyline. But like in the church, the ghoul kind of comes out being tied up and like in this kind of crucified way, and then he meets this creature that is giving him like this like weird like nuclear thing, the uranium, to like heal him up, as like as like Jeff brought before, like apparently like if you take drugs or like some like high like radioactive material, like you can heal up.
That's a mutant, sir. That
Yeah,
character is a
mutant.
mutant.
Yeah, mutant. And before the mutant like is trying to convince the like Cooper to like join this like upcoming war, and like he knows about the ink what's that group, the Enclave that we've been hearing about, like he's telling about that, and like we're like he's convincing him to join him and like the mutants, because they call us abomination and all that, and like him and the ghoul are like kin, we're mutants, like almost like X-Men level, like we're mutants, join, this is the last stand, and yeah, this is where my notes say like he talks about the Enclave. He's like who put all this into motion apparently, and like how should we get their revenge. But the ghoul says whatever he has got to do, he does it alone, right? Like he's doing his own mission, like to find his family. Like he doesn't care about like the wars and the like the Gans and all that. And so he stays alive to find his family. But then the creature says, he needs friends, but if the ghoul won't work with them, he can't remember where they live. And so the creature just reveals that he's a Superman. And then, like, after that, like, completely green face, and then under his hood before knocking the ghoul out. Let me end right there. And just a fun note, the person that voiced the mutant, I was so happy they got him. Ron Perlman voiced his character. If you're not familiar, he's been part of the game. He's the one that says the famous line that the wife did last season. What was it? War. I should have wrote this down, but like I'll pull it out when you guys talk about it. But like, uh, that was always the thing people knew about Ron Perlman, and so it was great that they got him to be part of the show because he's been a big part of the games.
Oh,
So
wow. I
yeah.
didn't know he was part of the game. That's actually really cool.
Yes, and there's like like the cut scenes that you see the dialogue before you start the game. I think he says this one famous line, the war, something that the wife said last season that was part of that game. That was what Perman says in the games when you get into it, and it was great that they got him here. So let me start with you, Jesse. We can talk about the ghoul trying to like get out of the pool, and then we meet this mutant that like is very smart, very big, and then like he has some plans go against the Inclive, this group that we've been kind of hearing about, and like he wants the ghoul to join him and like fight, but of course what's the word decline, and then it gets knocked out to not reveal the location. Go ahead, that's the end point.
Okay. Yeah. Thank goodness for Amazon show recaps at the beginning of these shows. Now, I listen, I told you guys I started on Monday and I kind of binged through this. But when you have a pretty decent break in between seasons, it's kind of easy to forget some of the side stuff that happened or some of the things that weren't extremely important to the series. So again, getting that that recap at the beginning, showing the conversation that you were talking about that he had with his buddy in the first season, it was good because I know that he's starting to turn. And I didn't catch that last episode in episode 5, but I saw where they had, I was looking at some reviews. They were talking about he was turning, and I was like, maybe I missed that. I don't know. I might have fell asleep, but
I think we're the same page here. I was like,
but now I'm starting to remember that from the games. I'm also starting to remember that as being a thing. Thank goodness for the recap once again. So yeah, he's trying not to turn. You're watching him. He's skewered on this pole, and he's trying to like recall these memories, these core. Well, he's trying not to forget. Like he has a daughter, and that's kind of what fuels him to finally start pulling. Which, by the way, I think that it would take the ghoul's the ghoul. I'm sure there's probably some superhuman strength possibly involved. If you're living 200 years past when you're probably supposed to die, there may be some other benefits as well. But when you're just pulling yourself up off of a pole, I'm sure that takes a lot of strength. And I was like, oh, is he going to do this? Nope, he doesn't. He gets all the way almost, and then he slides back down. And yeah, then we get our appearance of this massive super mutant, which as things were going through my head, I was like, okay, what is this thing? At first I thought, as soon as I heard like the loud stomps, I was like, oh, here comes the Death Claw again. The Death Claw is going to mess this guy up. He has this like, he has this kind of like connection. And I was like, well, what is this thing going to do? How is this going to result in him getting off of this pole? Not the case. It was a super mutant, which, yeah, I've had my run-ins with them on the game before. Did not like it. So yeah, that's kind of like the intrigue part. Is like, okay, what has come and pulled him off of here, and what's the whole deal behind that? And of course, we learned that. But the only other thing I'll talk about, and so I don't take anything else away from the other guys, is that I had no idea a uranium suppository would do such wonders. Takes that uranium and it's like shoves it right in the hole of the ghoul. And you're like, what is going to, apparently it works. So at least it helps for the ghoul anyway. But yeah. There you go. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. It was a couple episodes ago from this season where he has this machine and it was like some radiation and like you saw it heal his skin.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
yeah, so it was good that they set that up. And
Okay.
yeah, and I for I think I did miss the part where he did turn, but like I don't know why, because like last season we saw his friend turning, so like I
Right.
understood like the change. So
Right.
I need to rewatch episode 5 again. Oh, and thank you, Jesse. Love uh the discussion. I just want to bring up the narration, the iconic narration that Ron Perlman say is war. War never changes. That was what the wife say in the Doctor Strangelove war room with the business people, Vaultec and Rob Code. Like that was the iconic line from the games that that was literally from Rob Perlman, but they did it with the wife, which was fine, and it was great. Anyway, Cyber, you're next. When you thought about the ghoul in the pole trying to get out before he turns, and seeing that super mutant that is played by Ron Perlman of all people, which is great, and the end point is the Superman trying knocking out the ghoul to not reveal their location. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think this is absolutely fantastic. We go back, we see the ghoul still stuck on that freaking pole, and you're like, "Damn, how are you gonna get off of that, bro? Like, you're gonna need some assistance for that." And I love the fact that he tries to show get the pills and stuff like that would keep him from turning full ghoul. And of course, the dog is no help, and he's like, "I love it." He's like, "Damn fucking dog!" I was like. Oh my god, that's perfect. That is so perfect. And because half the time, usually with dogs, usually we want to say that anyways, because dogs usually, unless they're really good, they do that. They're like, but anyways, I think it's great because him trying to keep those memories going too, to keep himself from fully turning is really great. We go back into more flashbacks there, and I think the flashback is really fun, really cool. And eventually him trying to pull himself up there for briefly, kind of starts to work, but then he falls back down and kind of passes out. And that's when he gets taken, and he gets taken by that creature and is hung up and everything. And then that emerald thing is shoved into his abdomen. I was like, what the fuck is that thing? And I'm like, that's interesting. What is this, witchcraft? I was like thinking, I'm like, oh, it's like, don't move, don't take it out. It's gonna heal you, so stay still. And I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, what the fuck? And then this creature goes on and says how they're basically the same and all this kind of stuff, which was interesting. And I was like, oh, like this must be another like ghoul like creature, because well, I'm like some other people. I've only played like demos of the games. I really have never actually played the games. And so I had no idea what this creature was. So when it finally shows it, I was like, holy shit, that thing is crazy looking. And it's like, I'm like, that's definitely like a giant looking thing. Like, it's definitely similar to the other creatures. And just like Jesse had said, I thought it was one of those, the creatures we had seen in previous episodes too, as well, that was taken, and when we see him being pulled. And I was like, oh God, one of those berserker things get him, and so when it showed that it was talking, and I was like, oh, well, I don't think those berserker things could talk. So I was like, oh, okay, it's definitely something else. And it's walking around, but it's stomping real loudly. So it's definitely big and huge and stuff like that. And when it showed its face, and I was like, that looks like Ron Perlman. I had no idea that was fucking Ron Perlman. So thank you for that, Andres. I was like, holy shit, that was Ron Perlman. I'm like, what? I'm like, it looked like him. I'm like, almost like Hellboyish, almost like. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see that. But it was like, I think that the conversation was kind of interesting, and I thought it was, cool to see these creatures and make them a part of the show, and, be something definitely more interesting to see more of if we do get to see them. But I thought it was interesting that we had this other creature we had not seen before. And I thought that was really good on the writing and on the people's part of creating this episode. And I thought that was really cool. But the fact that the ghoul was getting fixed, I was like, oh my God, that's so freaking awesome. I'm like, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome that the ghoul is going to be whole again. And I was like, that's sweet. But I love when it like pans to his stomach and shows the hole. And then you go through the hole and shows the creature on the other side. I was like, oh my God, that's freaking sweet. So yeah, I thought this part was really great too. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very entertaining, very fun. I thought it was another great, performance by the Ghoul, and we got more flashbacks from him and stuff like that, which was done really well. And I think overall, it just was a really great portion of this episode too, as well. This great section.
Yeah, no, I really loved this section. I was surprised, like this far of the show, that they were introducing the Supermans, because that's a big thing in the games, right? Like, because I thought we're gonna see them in the one of the vaults, right? Because I was watching one of the lore videos on YouTube where you come into these contests of these Supermans because one of these vaults were like experimenting, and like this is how you get the super mutants. So it's good that they're playing around with the lore, which is nice. Like, I've been liking some of the changes they done with the games to like fit into the live action stuff. Like, as Jeff said before, I love the concept of the Ghoul. Like, he's basically the man in black from Westworld, like the Ed Helms character, and like, doing the back and forth, like who this character is very similar to that. But anyway, Jeff, your thoughts on the Ghoul trying to get out of the pool, meeting the super mutant. The end point is like the super mutant trying to convince him to join this upcoming fight against Enclave, but he declined, and so he hits the Ghoul to like not reveal the location.
Yeah. I got it. No, I'm whatever about it. Really, honestly, the bringing in the mutants from the games is, I don't know. I mean, characters or things like the villains or whatever that you could bump into, in the games, like mutants, super mutants or whatever, they were called. I mean, they're cool, like they're cool characters, I mean, they're definitely very dangerous opponents to fight or like have conflict with in the games. They're hard to kill. And they have like a very high health rating or whatever, so you really gotta like, shoot them a couple times to get them down. And you gotta hit them with, like legit guns that have big, big ammo, if you want to take them down. They're, similar to, the Red Squid, similar to other, super powered type creatures of Fallout, and they're massive too, but they are, I mean, that motherfucker had one of those like flesh bags or whatever from the games that was full of like body parts and heads and arms and shit, like he had a bag of that, like he's an obvious like cannibal, like human cannibal, fucking motherfucking mutant type motherfucker, like so. It was totally like nice for him to help the Ghoul out or whatever, like, I mean, like, honestly, based off the games, it's kind of awkward or like weird or odd that would happen. Like that a mutant would actually do that for anybody, like they're not known for being the most like compassionate or, helpful or, or collaborative, type folks out there in the wastelands, in the games. They kind of do their own thing, but it does kind of make sense. I mean, that whole concept of like we're together, like the ghouls and mutants or whatever, are somehow connected or something, does kind of make sense realistically, if you think about it, honestly, especially if you've played the games and you're actually aware, more like, more knowledgeable of the characters or whatever, kind of, I mean, sort of in a bizarre Fallout kind of way, ghouls and mutants do make sense. As a team up, and they actually have quite a few things in common, which is interesting because the ghouls don't really have a lot in common, with anybody else, in the world that is Fallout, they're not human anymore, so they're different, and they're outcasts, if you haven't noticed, there's not a lot of, there's not a multitude of ghoul characters in the Fallout universe, there's not, in numbers, there's not a lot of intelligent, living, non-feral ghouls besides the ghoul and that other motherfucker that's with Maximus now. They're the only active with it sane ghouls that we see. So I don't think that there's a ton of his kind, when it comes to the ghoul. I think there's probably more feral ghouls out there, honestly, because that's just realistically the reality of being a ghoul, is becoming feral, ghouls are like interesting to tangle with in the games, as like villains, they're interesting, they're somewhat dangerous, when they're feral, they can be pretty dangerous, as far as the ghoul and this whole regeneration ability we've talked about before, that he has this healing factor where he's somehow able to, whether it's through the use of chemicals and stuff like that, or whatever, substances that are out there in the wasteland that you can find, or whatever. He just seems to be able to bounce back from pretty much any, mortal type injury that any other regular human being would normally be killed or whatever. He somehow survives, so that's interesting. I don't really, I don't really get why he's so fucking resilient as a ghoul. You know what I mean? He's unkillable, almost. And that's interesting, that they set him up like that, on the show, to be this, invulnerable, and they don't really explain it, how he's able to make that work. I'm not really sure what the fuck that thing was that mutant stuck in the ghoul that, it said, that, or whatever the fuck that thing was. I'm not sure if that was from the games, that element or whatever that thing was, and that he was using. I don't know if that's what it was, like a game thing. But hey, I guess it makes sense in the Fallout universe or world or whatever that you could heal a fucking injured ghoul by just plugging some fucking I don't know, bizarre element looking fucking thing, into him, into his chest and filling a hole, whatever, man, that works, I guess. Yeah, hey, adding the mutants to the show, as an addition to the show from the games is great. I'm glad they decided to make that move. If that's the only time that we get to see a mutant, in the show, if that's it right there, then hey, good for good for Jonathan Nolan or whatever, for paying attention to to detail like that, and making sure to get all of these game concepts into the show. They're doing a good job. On that level, that they're killing it. I'll tell you that, right? Say what you want about the show overall, entertainment wise, or I don't know, quality wise or whatever, from an audience standpoint. But when it comes to, bringing the world of the games over and carrying that over into the show, in an accurate way, they're doing a really good job, and I really doubt that it's cheap to do that too. I don't believe that it's not expensive to come up with and produce so much of the similar imagery and background, drops and background and, stuff like the games, they have going on all the time. That effort that, that they make producing these shows, like Game of Thrones level shows, that cost, $5 million plus in every episode, type budgets, $10 million of, episode type budgets. Fallout is not cheap to make. That I know. I don't know what the actual numbers are on Fallout. I've never looked up the numbers on the budgets, but I would estimate that they're probably in the 200 million plus range per season to make the 8 episodes they're making. And I think trying to deliver, really, real life interpretations of video games, like at this level is not cheap to do, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what kind of show or game you're talking about. The Last of Us, I know, is not cheap to make, to try to replicate that world, you know what I'm saying, is not easy to do. It costs a lot of money. I think that's unfortunately one of the risks that you take on and have to deal with if you're going to adapt a video game concept across a TV series or a film, is that it's going to be expensive. It's not going to be a cheap thing to do, a cheap concept to put together. That's just not how it works. Unfortunately, that's not how the game works when it comes to TV. I don't think, especially when every studio out there is trying to produce prestige level looking fucking type television all the time. There's this constant, competition, out there, I believe, in this currently in television, especially with the addition of streaming, to create these, really high budget looking television shows all the time and have that be like a standard almost, to some extent. And, we've all seen, a lot of television shows in our lives and know what shows, do that and sell that well and which ones don't. Right. One thing that Fallout you could never say is cheap. It looks highly paid for, produced type television show. Regardless of whatever gripes I might have with it. So I don't know. All I can really say about the Ghoul with that whole poll thing is just that in real life, it would be literally fucking insane to actually try to pull yourself up a pole like that. And, I mean, realistically, there probably is some fucking reality where at some point some human being has been impaled like that at some point in history and has survived it or something like that. I'm sure it's happened at some point, it has, random rare people throughout history have survived some of the most crazy fucking accidents and things or whatever, and survived them. You know what I'm saying? For some miracle reason, it's happened, it does happen. So yeah, it would not shock me if in some reality, if some point in history, somebody has actually experienced an impalement like that. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, motherfuckers like Vlad the Impaler would actually, as a military tactic, impale people. You know what I'm saying? Like impale motherfuckers, like after battles or whatever, like live people would be impaled, like in numbers. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a tactic that was done like regularly. In that time period.
It's crazy.
Life
crazy.
back then was fucking extremely intense and like stark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it'd be like living in the Game of Thrones universe, like that show, living in that show. It's dangerous and dark and you know what I'm saying? Like, not like, it's pretty, but it does not seem like a really fun like place to live,
Right.
Honestly, everyone's killed by somebody, you know what I'm saying, or raped or fucking, I mean, people back then were like real fucking cutthroat when it came to criminal acts and shit like that. They were like barbarous with the shit they do to people,
I got biggest risk of my day is making sure I put my CPAP on at night.
I mean, during the time period in reality of like the Game of Thrones era of our history, shit was pretty diehard. Like,
I know, dude.
Being enslaved and raped and shit like that or whatever was a reality. Like, even if you were a man, like you could be raped and enslaved and shit like that, sexually and shit like that, by motherfuckers. That was still done back then, the motherfuckers like the Vikings did shit like enslaved motherfuckers for sexual purposes and shit like that. And shit was hardcore back in the day, I'm telling you.
We live in a gilded age now. We don't have to worry about shit like that. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Nah.
God.
It's not that hardcore, man. Because the types of fucking deaths that you have on like when you live in the Game of Thrones universe are fucking intense, bro. Like they're not good. They're not like happy deaths. Having your eyes fucking like pushed in and by motherfuckers and shit, or
I saw a picture of a guy who got tarred and feathered a couple of days ago, and it just happened upon either Facebook or Reddit or something like that. But anyway, not pleasant.
No, and again, just to like wrap up on something that's Fallout related. In this Fallout universe, things are coming back, like torture and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's things have broke down to that level to where like principles of like from like Roman times and things like that are like becoming popular again. Like only in like a complete Fallout situation where you have nuclear war and Fallout and all that apocalypse type situation, are you going to end up having things like slavery being brought back into employment? You know what I'm saying? Like that's really the only way. You know what I mean? It's very hard to end up going back into the business of slavery again when you've gotten away from it. You know what I'm saying? Something really drastic has to occur. It's very rare for society to ever go back to being into slavery after they've exiled it or gotten rid of it. Yeah,
I love it or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, Fallout has their own way of handling how they pull off, the apocalyptic. U.S. future or whatever, and we've seen other Walking Dead type shows pull off apocalyptic type, America type shit and have it work really well. Fallout has their way of doing it that's kind of humorous and comical at times, and whatever, and that's their deal, and it's okay. I prefer the Walking Dead type style, the more like stark and dire, feeling,
Of course, type thing, yeah. Then I get it.
Fallout has this loosey-goosey sort of like energy about the violence and like the horrible, evil realities of the things that are happen, and are done, in like the world,
Yeah, that's true. I got the budget for the Fallout. Apparently, it's 153 million.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and the same thing with the second season due to the like tax credit they get for like the shootings of California. That's where like they mainly shoot.
Well,
and
I mean, I guarantee you right now, I don't know what segment this would make up of the overall budget, but I mean, as far as the actors that they have on the show, they don't really have a lot of high caliber, in demand named actors really that they're employing on this show overall. Besides Goggins and, Colin McLaughlin's a name and Ella Purnell, is a known thing. But like, besides that, all the casting that they've done is a lot of like newcomers and, first time actors and stuff like that,
Yeah. And the big names that we get are usually character actors, that like, character actors, like, Home Alone actor. I forgot his name, but like, yeah, the other one from the like
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, he's a like like his brother from the Section HBO show.
Fallout's the Fallout's the kind of television show where you can just inject an actor like Macaulay Culkin into it if you want to.
Yeah.
It's that kind of show. You know what I'm saying? You can just have what's his name from the Turtles pop up. Minjani or the Indian actor or whatever, you got
it with Johnny. Yeah.
You could bring him in for an episode, or whatever, real quick, and then kill him off in that same episode, and make, or whatever, because on a show like Fallout,
Yeah, that's true. But good show. I think the quality is still up, as you say, for Jeff. Very good how they adapt the Super Mutant.
I don't think you have to be like a real A-list actor to pull off the material they'll do it in Fallout. I think this is like not a very like high level acted type television show. That's just my opinion. Honestly, I don't really know. I'm not a professional or whatever, in that department. But I don't think you have to be like a sort of like, a classically trained actor of some degree or whatever to be able to pull off the material they're doing on Fallout is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, you brought up Last of Us, that is where you see the big name actors like heard of, and there's a difference, especially network stuff. But anyway, let's get into the next session. Thank you, Jeff.
The Last of Us has employed a lot of not very known actors, honestly, in their cast. Andres, just to be realistic, they have, They haven't gone out and found established actors to fill all the, the newer roles, additions they've had in the show, from season to season and all that. They haven't done that.
No. I'm mainly talking about the guest stars and those like surprise cameos that we like. I'm surprised that they got that that one celebrity to be in this episode or two. Anyway, no, I agree with you, Jeff. Anyway, so let's get into the next and last flashback we got is that whole big twist here. This is where I brought up Cooper telling Barb do you remember when I first proposed to you? And then after that he kind of confesses that I know what you did. You say war doesn't change, and she her eyes open. I was like, oh, what the hell you're talking about, honey? And it's you know what I'm talking about. You and your Doctor Strangelove fellas trying to think that war is good for profiteering. I'm like, damn. It's great scene. They discuss she he's asking her are you doing this to protect our daughter, and as if killing millions to save this one child for this big thing, right? And her Christian say you could do the same thing for your daughter as well if you're in my position. I was like, oh, good point. And this is where it was interesting. The flashback goes back to the Voltech office where Bob, the wife asked her assistant to go through the information to just like I did just tonight, folks, to get more information about the cold fusion that we barely know about, and is stored at the Voltech. So Betty is as if this is a good idea, and then Barbara states that none of this is a good idea. Love that line. Very true. None of this is a good idea, but just do it. She goes to the elevator where she meets the doctor, the scientist that takes the cold fusion from last season. That's the head that Lucy was tracking in her what's her thing? I forgot the pip or
Oh yeah, Pip. Is it Pep? It's not Pep Boy. Is it Pep Boy or Pip Boy?
Pip Boy.
Pip Boy. Thank you. Wristwatch that she wears and her fellow dwellers do in the vaults. She was tracking that head that had the cold fusion that he injected. So we see this actor again, Michael Emerson, who's a pretty character actor, well known. He was in that other show for Jonathan Nolan, and his wife did called Person of Interest, a good show I heard, and so that's why he's here because he knows the Nolans, and so he's waiting. He states that Barbara is very replaceable, part of a big machine. So he knows something. If she forgets her place in the company, she will die, and her family as well. And he points out that they're all in the same boat as himself included. And he mentions that the leaders of the most powerful corporation will be gathering, which I think that kind of indicates the Vegas, because I think he does bring up the Vegas location. So Barbara needs to tell them that the only way to guarantee results is by dropping the bomb themselves, and cut to the meeting from season 1 where she does do that. So I like this flashback where they're cutting back and forth, confirming how she got to that line of convincing the boards to do that. And so that was a good payoff from last season to really deliver that in that elevator scene. And then and this is kind of the big wrap up. We go back to Barbara's conversation with Cooper in the hotel they're at, and he demands to know who controls Voltech, and she claims she doesn't know who is controlling this company. And Cooper says, I need to find out. And then Barbara points out that they can't do anything about it, that going through it will either like it or not. And she tried to console him by saying that she's his wife and that he knows her, but Cooper says he doesn't know her anymore. So I'm kind of curious. Hopefully we get he's gonna divorce her and take the daughter away, because that has to happen later in the pilot we saw with the bomb drops. Yeah. Then after that, Cooper brings later that same night, Cooper brings a drunken Hank back to the hotel room where his arm was still cuffed to the case that we saw last week. He's holding this case which we didn't know, and which what is it he Hank drinks and then putting the pill into it, and after like Hank is like knocked out, like Cooper opens up the case and he finds like the ejector and the cold fusion. So the ejector thing that the scientists in the elevator used in the pilot, right, or episode 2 in the first season to like inject the cold fusion into his head. And Bob walks in and sees what Cooper has done, takes the injector and puts it into Hank's neck, waking him up. And it turns out the cold fusion has been kept in Hank's neck the whole time, which was kind of crazy to know about that. So let me stop there. Big twists and turns. So let me get to you, Cyber. What are your thoughts about this last big flashback? The reveal of Hank having the cold fusion in his neck the whole time, and seeing the scientist from last season talking in the elevator. Go ahead.
The end portion, this at last flashback, I think is very interesting as well. We see, Walt basically, drug, what's his face, and he Hank, ends up opening the case and finding just a vial thing in there that is like a almost like a vaccine gun. You're like, what the hell is going on here? Like, his expression is just kind of like, what the hell? Like, I think that was really interesting. And then his wife showing up, I thought was really interesting. And then injecting it into his neck, I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what? I was like, that's insane that it has been in his neck this whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, like, how the hell is it in his neck and it hasn't like killed him or, hasn't done anything to him and like altered him or anything in any other way? And I'm thinking like cold fusion, like I think that's something that's chemical and it's not something that should be in a human body. So, it's kind of interesting that they have it that way. But, I think this end sequence just, really tops off the episode, with all this kind of back information, giving us all this great history and great fun and just finding out all these things that are, pushing season 2 to its final climax in the last 2 episodes. And, I think the acting is really done well. I think that the whole scenario is done really well. I think there's a lot of great fun going on. I think that, are we talking about Lucy and her dad and the mind control stuff too, or no?
Not yet. Not there
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Just this whole flashback. The
Okay,
last
so
one.
yeah, the flashback is really good, really excels the episode, and I really enjoyed it.
Jesse, you're next. What do you thought about this whole flashback of Cooper and Howard? Cooper and his wife, and getting that twist that Hank has that like cold fusion in his neck the whole time. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I mean, really, my one big note coming out of this was just that, again, we get to see that Barb does not fully like what she's involved in. It is acted very well. I mean, you kind of feel bad for this marriage that's falling apart, and oh my goodness, Cooper realizes that his wife is not who who he married, and she's involved in all this stuff, and we've been setting that stuff up for a while now. He's been listening in on her conversations or whatever, but now he's finally got the opportunity to confront her with it. And it's kind of sad because she cares for her family. She's trying to do what's right for her family. And he's like, what you are doing is monstrous. It's horrible. So the thing being in his neck and Hank's neck, I don't know what we're going to. So now they know. Now, I mean, at the end of that, she pulls it out and she has it in her hand. So I guess we have the opportunity to sit here and think like, okay, are they going? We know they're not going to make the right decision. Because things still end up the way that they do. But it kind of leaves you hanging like, okay, what are they going to do, or what are they going to try to do now that they have that? Is Barb just going to take it now and go give it to, was it House that was Mr. House that was interested in getting a hold of it or something. I cannot remember. Yeah.
He wanted that because in the game that was a way for him to like continue to live forever.
Got it.
You know, and if he doesn't get it, then he had to go to like other sources, you know, to keep it alive.
So she, so now maybe she's going to do some, I don't know, some dealing with Mr. Who knows? I don't know. All we know is that she's got the thing in her hands, and Cooper's right there with her. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I've taken out of this is that we're watching their marriage kind of fall. I don't know. It seems like it's falling apart, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go from here.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Westworld. It's like they throw this now curveball that like she has the cold fusion.
Yeah,
and then because last season the doctor that we saw in the elevator made this like fusion like by himself, and I'm like curious, like okay, where we're doing this cold fusion. As Jess said before, we're doing the game beat. Like I guess B2B, like does the house gets the cold fusion to like live in the computer, yada yada yada.
Right.
So I don't know.
I guess that's kind of a disadvantage for us, the people that played the game. If you're going to make a show that's really faithful to the game, you're going to know some of the twists and turns, unfortunately, and where we're going to end up. So coming into it with like a very fresh, or not having any idea about the lore behind Fallout was probably to some people's advantage. Because we might know what's going to happen next episode, but they've done a good enough job to keep us still, intrigued as to how we're going to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very curious where we're gonna do that for the final 2 episodes. Yeah, good point. Jeff, any opinions about this big flashback of the twist with the cold fusion with Hank?
Not really, sir. Honestly, again, cold fusion, honestly, what is cold fusion? Again, show me something with cold fusion. Something fucking make something fucking happen because of cold fusion at some point in the show, like at some point, plug it into something and, whatever. Whatever you're doing with your microphone, Andres, is loud as fuck. I'm just letting you know, sir.
I'm sorry. I'm being attacked by ghosts. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm letting you know. It's extremely intense. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know, yeah, I mean, I guess I feel bad for, for Howard's, wife, I get it that she's become sort of like a pawn, I guess, almost at Voltech, it's to some degree, she's not really, the major decision maker or anything like that, at the company when it boils down to it. But she's still very responsible for making sure that the bomb gets dropped, to start the nuclear war, she's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? So, she's kind of a bad guy at the end of the day. She is a bad guy, I mean, it's obviously very explainable that that Howard would be like pissed off at her. I would be too. I'm not sure what's going on with the younger version of Hank in the flashbacks or whatever. He's just kind of a loser, kind of a nerd douchebag kind of guy and whatever, at that point. But I'm not even really sure I understand why he's like walking around with the cold fusion chained to his arm or whatever, like why that's even necessary. I don't even know if I even understand that, but whatever, cold fusion, I guess, is some really important shit, man. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I know. Like, I'm surprised we're even bringing this back again. Like, you had Maximus having this cold fusion, and then now we get this another view. I'm like, come on. Also, get another name, please. Like, just cold fusion, or I don't know, something fancy. Voltech fusion, But anyway, all right. Let's. I know it's 2 hours. Let me get through this last part. Is the Lucy Hank thing, part, and then I'll just hear you guys' thoughts about this part. So Lucy leads Hank to like one of the offices again, and then all of the mind control people that Hank has kind of captured, like they stop and stare completely at them, and like Hank assures them that there's nothing to worry about, and that Lucy is just pursuing the causes of justice that he say, and this calms them down before Lucy asks where Hank found all these people, and he kind of like explains that over all over he says that so many people need their help, and like he just like just skip the part where like, yeah, I kidnapped all these people, you know, and it's like, yeah, you did, and great way to tell your daughters like, I helped these people. Um, then after, so after he said that, like over, he says that so many people need their help, and then all of a sudden, one of his coworkers used to be like a murderer, and then now she's a pencil sharpener. That was funny to know. Like she's a former murderer, now she's a sharpener pencil, and then two other coworkers were in opposite, in opposing gangs, as he said before, like just revealing like where they were at before the mind control. And then after that, another woman used to cook people for the Legion. Great, you know, calling back the group that we got from a couple weeks ago. But then she makes was it tail mix? I don't know what that means. You had to explain that to me. But anyway, as they leave the office, Lucy orders Hanks to leave the doors open so that these people can go home. But Lucy, again, as naive she is, you know, I do like her. Lucy tells the workers they're free now, but they insist that they like it down here, and so Hank tells them they can stay there as long as they, as they want. I was like, oh god. And before they can leave, one of the snake oil salesmen comes in with two people, and he says haven't been fixed yet. And one of them are from like the Caesar Legion group that we saw, I think, a couple weeks ago, and one of whom is Biff. Biff from the NCR we saw a couple weeks ago when the ghoul was talking with those two people in the desert or whatever. And Lucy says that they should go free as is, and then the kind of like Hank allows that this leads to the Caesar's Legion soldier immediately attacking Biff, like just fight on in the office, which was kind of crazy to see there. And then like Lucy runs over to Biff, and like she was like trying to protect them, but it doesn't work because they still kind of continue to fight. And then yeah, like one of the soldiers like picks up Lucy up, and like she stabs him with a pencil, which was kind of crazy. And then and under uh then after that, the man fears Biff, blah blah blah, right, starts stabbing his head, which was kind of like, oh my god, brutal as typical. And then here, then Lucy pushes, I think, one of the buttons that kind of stopped their like attack, as Hank was showing, like the one of the devices, the mind control devices kind of kick in to stop them doing that. And so that's kind of like the end point here, is where they turn them into fast friends, and the Hank stands there proudly in front of Lucy, proving to his point that this idea of a control might be good thing, mind control. And that's where let me stop there. So let me start with you, Jeff. Any opinion about this like last part of Lucy and the Hank thing, seeing the mind control and like doing more
are we going all the way to the end of the episode?
Almost. The last part is going to be with the volts and the max, because they're very quick.
Well, why don't we just add that in and talk? We'll talk about it, because we're already 2+ or whatever hours into the show. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to make Jesse have to stay here too late.
Yeah, that's true. You know? Go ahead, do that. I'll definitely ask that with you guys.
Yes, most definitely, sir. Thank you. You know, I want to make sure that our guests are well treated. So no, honestly, I don't really have that much to say about this portion of the episode. It's not that really that big of a portion, honestly, when it comes to like episode time. This is not a massive block of scenes here. The Volt stuff was very low impact in this episode. You know, it was just a very brief, you know, encounter we had with what is that, Volt 33, right? The original Volt or whatever that we first started with the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just kind of touched on them briefly, you know, and honestly, I'm not a fan of like the sort of musical numbery type of crap that they kind of injected into the episode a little bit with all that. I'm not a fan of that. You know, you know, I mean, you know, sort of, I guess, where we end up wrapping up with the flashback storyline in the episode, you know, is kind of just, you know, again, just not that interesting to me, to talk about really, as far as, what happens with Kyle MacLachlan's character and, Hank and him, getting drugged and all that. I will say though that, watching them drink the old fashioned style way of drinking straight liquor, as a way of drinking alcohol, like they do in the show, at times, reminds me of a phase I had as a teenager where I drank like that too. And I'll tell you, man, when you drink straight liquor, which honestly you have to really be motivated to do that, to drink like that, because unless you have that taste or whatever, it's actually difficult to drink a large glass of straight whiskey or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to actually force that shit down your throat. It's straight whiskey. Like I used to like Maker's Mark bourbon back then during this phase. For whatever reason, as a kid, I liked, expensive bourbon like Maker's Mark or whatever I would drink. And I would just drink a big glass of Maker's Mark, in one shot, and maybe I'd have a chaser drink too, like a soda or something like that too. And I'd go back and forth or whatever here and there. But during this phase, I would just drink straight fucking whiskey, straight liquor, I wanted to be cool or whatever, and you get fucked up drinking like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why motherfuckers back in the day were really drunk a lot historically, like in America's, history and everything, because motherfuckers were some straight liquor drinking motherfuckers back in the day. And in like historical periods of American history, that was like the regular way of drinking, was just like, straight fucking vodka, straight whiskey in a glass, and like just drink it, like the Wild Wild West, like saloons and shit. And, you can drink like that. There's people who still do drink like that. They're out there, everyone knows somebody that drinks straight liquor or whatever, as like a regular thing. But you get fucked up, bro, drinking straight liquor. If that's your shit, if that's your, your concept of alcohol or whatever, be prepared for that shit because, I'm telling you, man, I remember one time I had this girlfriend that I worked with at this restaurant, this girl I was fucking, and I stayed at her parents' house one night, met her parents, and they asked me what I wanted to drink, and I was like, just give me a glass of straight bourbon. And they gave me this massive fucking glass of bourbon, bro, to drink. This massive glass. It was like one of those fucking refrigerated glasses, whatever, that was big, and they filled it with fucking.
That is not normal.
With straight 100%, alcohol fucking bourbon, right? And I'm like 18, right? Whatever, so I'm like gonna drink it, the whole fucking thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to let you don't want to let them down. I mean,
no, I'm gonna drink this whole thing, right?
Right, dude.
So this is a lot of bourbon, bro. And I was fucking wrecked by the time I drank that whole fucking cup they gave me or whatever,
Yeah.
They really fucked me up with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like my ballsy teenage phase of drinking straight liquor bullshit I was on, they really fucked me on that shit when I asked for that fucking bourbon, bro. You know what I'm saying? They gave me this stiff fucking tall fucking glass of bourbon, man. And I was I remember at one point I was mixing food with the bourbon to try to get it down. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We were eating dinner and I was mixing the bourbon with food. Just to try to get it down my throat because it was so much, Gosh. And by the way, on that note, if you take a pint of vodka or gin or whatever, and you empty a big slam of Mountain Dew all the way down to that first bubble, a pint fits right into that bottle perfectly, right there at the bottom of that bubble.
When's the last time you've seen a big slam?
Oh God, sir! Probably around the last time I actually made one of these vodka Mountain Dew cocktails. Back in the day. Back when I was an active drinker, partier. I don't know, 17, 18, 19 years old, right around that time period.
Yeah.
That's the last time I actually would realistically make a cocktail like that. That ridiculous. Honestly,
I just saw an ad about big slams because they aren't around. They used to make them. You can pick them up. I remember.
Oh yeah, are they even around anymore? I'm not even sure they even make them.
I don't think so.
That concept's been gone for a while. Big slams aren't around, but they were back in the day though. They were very popular.
Oh yeah,
And I learned, through trial and error that's how they work. They empty right at that bubble, and you can fit a pint of liquor perfectly into them right there. And
Did you mix it or
just shake and go, bro? You know what I'm saying? For my taste, that level of blending, that amount of soda and that pint of vodka, which is a lot of vodka,
that worked,
or gin or whatever, was enough for me, and I could drink that.
Nice.
That now at 42 or whatever, 43 or whatever that I am now. Fuck no. Are you kidding me?
Dude.
No way. It'd be like Andre's drinking one of those motherfuckers. It would never happen. You know what I'm saying?
No, it's gonna be Corona or.
But again, Jesse, you get fucked up drinking one.
I do not doubt it, dude.
If you drink one or two of those concoctions, the big slams, you are literally fucking like really fucked up.
Not doubt
it. Mix some marijuana up in there too. You know what I'm saying? And you could end up, really fucking like sloshed, like totally fucked.
Yeah.
And hey, you know what? For some folks, that's a good way to be at times. But I just want to throw that out there. A little, connection to my past life. With the show. Yes, I will never revisit the straight liquor drinking phase again. That is drinking straight whiskey in a glass is not enjoyable. Good for people out there that can drink like that and actually like that. But I do not get that. I do not grasp how people can actually develop a taste like that and, just be okay with it. Me, I've got to force that shit down. That's the only way I can drink it.
Right.
No, I'm getting older now, sir. And, things as fucked up as making Mountain Dew vodka pint cocktails and all that are way, way beyond me, I believe. My taste when it comes to party, substances and things like that have 360 since those days.
Oh my god!
I'd much rather like drop fucking eat mushrooms or something, or like even like randomly take some acid or something or whatever, some like that actually fucking sit and drink a full big slam vodka cocktail again.
Right, dude.
Right.
Yeah. That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot of liquid to drink. A big slam pint cocktail.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yep. Anything else? Can I go to the next person, sir?
Yeah, it's also a perfect drink to take to the movie theater. When it comes to how long a movie is and how long it takes to drink one of those drinks, they line up pretty well.
Oh my god.
I knew he was sneaking it in somewhere.
Yeah,
I knew that he was.
if you can get young women to drink those big slam cocktails like that, if you can make that work, oh man, damn. That is the ticket for making sure that some kind of sexual activity occurs that evening. You are good to go after the chick drinks one of those fucking one of those bitches.
No,
they're ready to rock after that.
Oh my god!
I know from personal experience.
Yes, we the whole world knows that now. The whole live stream audience that we have.
Those are the kind of tests I would throw at bitches back in the day when I was, in the game more. I would throw things like that, obstacles like that to test them. I would gauge them if they can handle drinking a Mountain Dew vodka cocktail or whatever. That I saw that as a major positive indication. And as far as how refined the lady was.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You know how it is, sir. When you have major standards like me, you gotta.
Okay. Okay. Can I go to the next one, please? Next one for the finale.
Yes, I will just say that honestly, I don't know why they don't have any sex or nudity on Fallout. Honestly, I know Prime's not afraid to do nudity, or sex scenes because they do that stuff on The Boys, So, well, I don't know. I'm surprised. I don't know why they didn't add a little bit of TNA, to this show. Honestly, I think it would have been good for the show, to tell you the truth.
Cyber is going to say, we saw some nudity. You remember in one of the episodes from first season, they went to in the vault, we saw like the creepy cult Volts that were like half mutated. It was
Yeah,
so weird. And
you're.
you saw
Oh
the
yeah, okay.
boobs,
So we
you know?
have seen some. So they have gone to that and done nudity. But I'm saying they could actually have that as a theme in the show, and in this kind of show, this post-apocalyptic sort of world show, they could pull it off. It would be okay. It would work. You know, as an addition to
Yeah.
the show, you could do nudity and have sex and stuff. You know, more or whatever. You know, as a part of it if they wanted to. And it never hurts. You know, to add things like that. You know, components like that. You know. So that's all. I just wanted to put that out there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if we're lucky, we'll see some more nudity later on in this season or next season or something like that. But yes, thank you for pointing that out. There has been nudity.
Yes.
I really hope for the finale, like there's a big slam at least somewhere in a vault. That's all I want.
Yeah. Maybe.
A big slam somewhere.
I don't-
Big
that's
slam,
what-
oh, God.
In the version of America in the Fallout universe or whatever, Jesse, I'm not even sure if big slams would exist.
The
you know?
Coca-Cola big slam.
They have all these weird concepts going on in their culture, and where it's like, you know, it's like the year 2000 or whatever, you know, and they're still drinking like the sort of Coca-Cola bottles, you know, that we used to drink back in the 20s. You know,
right.
That's kind of how Fallout is, you know?
Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping for it.
Well, we having that weird cousins.
It's like
getting into
they have
themselves.
that Fantastic Four thing going on, you know, where the Fantastic Four has that, you know, deal where they're living in like that 70s culture, you know, style America that's like, but it's in the year 2000, you know?
Yeah.
Retro futurism.
It's the same concept in that Fallout flashbacks, you know, world or whatever. You know, they have that same thing going on. It's very retroistic to where, you know, all the contemporary current music is like old fashioned 1920s style music and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any more to say, sir?
No, that's it, sir.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Thank you for your awesome and detailed sexual encounters / drinking. So, Cyber, you're next. Your thoughts on the final part of the episode, the Max and Thaddeus plot line, the Volt 33 storyline, and the last part of Lucy and the Hank stuff. Go ahead.
So, putting it simple and sweet, I enjoyed all of the ending. I thought it was very fun. Thought it was very interesting. I thought the mind control stuff at the end with Lucy and her dad was really interesting, especially when the two guys are going at it and then they turn it on and they stop. That was super cool. The Vault 33 stuff is, it is okay. It's not my favorite portion or favorite part about stuff going on in the Fallout universe, but it was nice to see that the vault again and kind of what was going on there. We had that one guy standing up to Blind Al, as I like to call her, and saying, "Hey, we're gonna have more snacks in this shit," you know, and that was kind of interesting to see them kind of like. Unraveling a little bit as, things have changed, with, the adventure off of Lucy and everyone and kind of what's been going on in there. So I think overall, really fantastic ending, really enjoyable, very entertaining, lots of great stuff going on. We got brief portion of Vault 33. We got the kind of the final act of what was going on with, Hank and Lucy. And then, of course, you had kind of the ending portion there where with the brother, with Maximus and the ghoul friend, and how they end up popping up and finding the ghoul himself, and he's like, "Oh shit!" Was super freaking hilarious. So I think it was a very fantastic ending that really rounded out the episode very well.
Yes, thank you, Cyber. Yeah, I agreed. Jesse. You're next, sir. Your thoughts on the finale? Where you can do whatever you want. Just tell me what your thoughts about the whole, Brotherhood, Maximus storyline, and then the Vault 33 food strike, I guess, and then the last part of Lucy and the Hank stuff.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about the Vault stuff real quick, I'm just going to throw this out here. I mean, it feels like some of the most inconsequential parts of this season is that whole storyline. Like there needs to be some kind of a reveal to make me go, oh my gosh, I think our biggest thing out of this is like Woody's, or not Woody. Woody. Is it Woody? What is his name?
Yeah, Woody. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Woody's missing. And we think that it's something to do with, I think, Steph. And of course, Steph and Chet are getting married. And I don't know. It just feels very inconsequential and very much a side thing that has nothing to do with the stuff that I'm really interested in here. But maybe there's a payoff here in the next 2 episodes. I don't know. Regardless, I'm not interested. Now, to get to the Lucy and Hank stuff, my favorite part of this episode is definitely her walking Hank out in front of all of them, and he says she has decided to bring me to justice, and then he goes, we like justice, don't we? And everybody's like, yes, we like justice. And then, like you said, we bring in the 2 barbarians, or the 2 guys have been about ready to kill each other, and the only thing that she has to do is push a button. So this is where Hank's plan we were talking about earlier comes in, where I feel like he is so confident in what he's been doing that he will gladly put himself in the handcuffs and walk out there and show Lucy what his experiments and what the result of everything that he's been doing and the benefits of it. Like, he fully believes that throwing these things on the back of these people's necks is going to change society and finally bring it back. We're finally going to be, a civilized society, essentially, because now we're, as Jeff talked about, we're in a barbaric society. So yeah, he fully believes in that, and he fully believes showing Lucy that this is what the results of his labor right now. He's finally got it. He can finally tame what's going on. And then those 2 guys start going at it. And that's where she has to she could either push a button and stop this person, these 2 guys from killing each other and others around them, or, killing them. She might have to get involved and kill one of them herself. And one dude, this is my favorite moment, was when he was on top of the other guy, and at first I thought he took an axe to his head, but that's not the case. It was a damn stapler. He had a stapler and just kept stapling his head over and over.
Oh, man.
And over.
Hey, Jesse, that's what that was? I had no idea. I thought it was a hammer.
Yeah, it was a stapler. And that's why at the end he's fine, because all he has is just fucking staples in his head. And, she pushes the button. He's like, oh, my goodness. Then all of a sudden they become civilized. So, I found that very entertaining. Loved it. And, I can't remember where we left, because she's definitely now on the fence, because she just saw what, he could do. I don't know if she doesn't continue to walk him out or anything like that, does she? I mean, because she says you're all free to go, and they're like, well, we want to stay here. So yeah, maybe she is. But either way, it's, that was entertaining. I will, as far as Maximus and Thaddeus go, there wasn't much to them here. And you know what else we didn't get here this episode was anything about the brother, Lucy's brother. We didn't have anything happen in this episode about that. So I think I can't even remember where we left off there with him. I know it was in the previous episode.
He got found out by all those new Vault people. Remember?
That's right. So
Yeah.
We didn't really further that story in this episode at all. But yeah, I mean, so just to kind of finish up my thoughts, the one thing I think that kind of sticks with me right now, and the one thing that I want to see, so we got 2 more episodes left. We need 1 episode that is dedicated strictly to what happens when the bombs drop and how Cooper gets separated from his daughter. Because he's, at the end of that sequence that we saw in the first season, he's got his daughter when the bombs drop. So, something happens. We're going to get there. I feel like we probably have another episode of backstory where, Barb and him either separate in some way, or she's finally decided to go with Vault Tech, and she intervenes and takes the daughter at some point and leaves him out in the fucking wasteland. I don't know, but regardless, that's kind of one of the things I want to see before in these next 2 episodes. I just don't know if we're going to have enough time to do it. So we'll see. And to flip back real quick, final thought, I promise. The mutant ghoul thing that we're setting up, like there's going to, this is kind of when you think about it, it's going to be kind of epic if they do kind of roll through with what this whole thing is. That sets up a huge thing, like they're going to go to war. So imagine a sequence at some point in some future episode. I don't think there's any way we get there by the next 2 episodes, but a war between the Enclave and super mutants and ghouls. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have no idea, but
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. That's all my thoughts.
Thank you, Jesse. Yeah, I think they're setting that up for like a season 3.
Yeah, that'd be my guess too.
Yeah, because they already renewed the show for season 3, so I think they're setting that up. And I don't know if this is like a major theme from from the games, but yeah, I can totally see that because the super mutants are major theme in like in the Volk games and all that.
Mhm.
And the focus on the separation of the daughter and Cooper, like I can see that as like another potential flashback focus. Like they haven't done something that was like centrally focused on one character yet. That kind of battle episode. Like we haven't really done that for the show for these first 2 seasons. So hopefully they do that.
I want like a Quiet Place whole episode where
Yeah.
the bombs are dropping, everybody's fucking freaking out, and that whole like, oh shit's hit the fan, what's going to happen. That's what I'd love to see. Don't know if we'll get it, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I agreed. But yeah, hopefully they do it. Because 2 episodes left, and yeah, there's a lot they have here, and I totally forgot about the brother. Because yeah, he got found out, and because he met up with the crazy old lady from the Philly market. It was funny.
That's right.
Yeah, that was the last time we saw them, and he was finding that like the guy who worked with Buzz, and like he was very suspicious, and of course he attacked the brother and all that. Anyway, all right, let's get into ratings. Stick with you, Jesse. How you gonna rate this episode? Episode 6 of Fallout.
Yeah. Okay. So I get the good thing is I've got all the other recent episodes kind of in my memory because I started it Monday, so I have that to compare it to. But yeah, as far as I'm going to give this one 6.5 out of 10. There was a lot of stuff that it's better than when I almost fell asleep. So that gives it a 0.5 better. This isn't a 9 or a 10 for me. All right. There's got to be some stuff that happens. A super mutant showed up. Great. It still was just a very small part of this episode. So I wanted more. So 6.5 out of 10.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Jesse. I agreed. It's one of those episodes. Cyber, you're next. Let's get into your rating of this episode 6, sir.
Simply this, entertaining, 10.
There it is.
He's perfect
every time.
Every time. That's why we love you. That's why I love you, Saber. Oh, next, I got your idea. Your next your AI videos you do, you should do one when you're like some contest, I don't know, like game host, and you're like, this is my show, the 10s. I'll give you every 10 if you get this answer right.
Dude, I got it for you. No, listen. You got to do a series of like 5 different AI videos where you fail at doing everything, but give yourself a 10 out of 10 every single time. Like I did one where I bottle flipped and completely missed it, and then I dabbed, and I was like, it was awesome. Then it was totally not, but it was hilarious.
Yes, please do that.
It'll entertain me at least.
Yeah, it'll entertain you, Jesse, me. Oh, he should become Mr. 10, the next supervillain.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Like his gimmick is all about 10s. Anyway,
he's writing down ideas right now. I can see him.
Yes, he's writing down ideas. Yes. Oh god, this is the best night ever, best Friday ever. Anyway, Jeff, how you gonna rate this episode 6, sir? Go ahead.
I suppose just to be nice, I could probably give the episode 6 a 7 rating, sir.
No, I kind of agreed. Yeah, this one is tough. I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. I was intrigued with the whole Lucy Lucy and Ghoul storyline. I thought the flashback was really strong. This episode, with having the white being the focus was really nice. But then I agree with Jesse here. Like the whole Vault 33 storyline is so what was the word you used to say? Like unconstitutional.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter. It could be like after credits as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like I agree with Jeff. Like I didn't mind the goofy mystical theme, but like I do question like why we did it. Like why we're having this like we already have a funny show with funny moments with Lucy or like the ghoul with the dog. Like we don't need this like extra like stuff to like be funny. And I like the Stephanie theme, but like it's kind of obvious. It's like okay, like hopefully that's I we haven't done theories. That's something we don't do. But like if it isn't Rubber House that Hank is talking to, it's Stephanie that he's talking to. It just makes sense because previously she asked Barb to get his notebook or whatever from his Vault 31, and we never really touched on that at all in the last 2 weeks. So I like that needs to be kind of picked up. Like hopefully these last 2 episodes. That's the thing I'm like I want to get that payoff. So my rating, yeah, already for my fucking rating, 8.5 out of 10. I'm done. Thank you everyone for this awesome 2-hour, full hour episode 6. Sorry about it. It was a lot of storylines. I have to make sure we cover it. And also it's my return to the show, so my bad. So thank you, Jesse, for coming here for tonight for the full 2 hours. Thank you for your patience, sir. And please check out the source material podcast, and his content is so amazing. Just diving in a lot of the comic book stuff and the storylines with him and his co-hosts and all that. It's really spectacular. Please support him. So now I'm gonna give it to Jeff to plug this out and get out of here.
Okay, sir. Thank you. All right, Cyberneticshark, sir, my co-host, sir. You are first, my friend. Go ahead. I've got you all lined up.
Okay, he's gone.
He's gone?
Yeah, look at him.
Oh, he's not there.
Yeah, I think he just stepped away for a second.
Yeah, wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, go to Jesse. Come on, he's our guest. He needs to.
I'm going to Jesse. Here, Jesse.
Here I am.
Here.
Hey, there it is. Look at that right there. Yeah. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you dig the comic books, I do a podcast on them, and it's called the Source Material Comics Podcast. Yeah, we're on the W2M network. You can usually just type into any podcatcher or any YouTube, type in Source Material Comics Podcast, something like that. You should be able to find some type of content that we put it out there. I think my most recent episodes here, as far as like source material goes, we talked about Multiple Man, which is a great story by Matthew Rosenberg.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. And then we have our Unspoken Issues podcast on that same feed where we talk 90s comics, and we talked about The Darkness Batman. So if you like The Darkness or Witchblade, that comes from that sort of universe. That was a good crossover, a company crossover there. And it's actually a very important story to the Darkness, timeline. So if you get a chance, you might want to check me and Chris Armstrong, checking that issue out and talking about it. And then the Snap Material podcast, where me and my buddy Evan Bevins get together and we discuss Marvel Snap. So if you play that on your mobile device, we usually get together and do about 4 or 5 20-minute episodes in a month, and talking about the previous season, the upcoming season. We have a good time. And that is it. I appreciate you guys having me on here. It's a fun discussion. I had a good time. I'm not going to drink. I've learned my lesson just listening to Jeff tell us all about his
crazy story
his
about
crazy
bourbon.
Kid life there. It's insane.
We love you, Jesse. We're glad you came by and stopped in with us this week, brother. Thanks for doing this recap with us. And Cyberneticshark, sir, you're up next. Go ahead, sir. Now that you're back, have at it.
All right, folks. So if you enjoyed me on the panel, or if you enjoy when I moderate, check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark on YouTube, which is my home base, but you can also find me on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, many other places. As you can see there, still my most recent video is the Mummy Lee Cronin's trailer reaction. Check that out if you haven't. And then, of course, my shorts are still the same. Most two recent shorts, of course, are two little reviews. One Spice World, of course, and then the other two are of two recent films I had seen. If you haven't seen those, definitely check those out too. As always, appreciate it, guys. Thank you for watching us here on the MC Bleeding Edge. Keep watching us here on the MC Bleeding Edge. Keep on subscribing to our channels, helping all of us great content creators out. And you guys rock.
Okay.
Oh my god. I saw him becoming a wizard. I need to check that. Sorry. I just saw the shorts. I'm like, Cyber becoming a wizard. Hell yeah. I knew he was a wizard.
Your microphone that you switched to or whatever, Andres, is loud.
I know. Yeah,
that's what I was talking about the other day. How I told you that we had that one show. You sounded kind of weird. It was your microphone.
Yeah, because I had the wires here, and I think you can hear the noise right here. Because I'm using the headphones here, which you can hear. Because my other headphones is just traditional, like kind of like what Jesse's wearing. Like it was that kind of like headphones.
Yeah, for sometimes, occasionally, well, what you're doing right now will get loud. Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir. Do your plug.
Yes. Well, Andres, Culture Guy, thank you guys for joining today. I hope you enjoy my moderation tonight for episode 6. Please tell me and feedback and how to improve myself as a moderation for MCU Bleeding Edge. So thank you, Jesse, for coming tonight. It was a blast. Hopefully we see you again in the future. So recently, in terms of content, just been kind of slowing down a little bit this week. Just recently post a very short clip of Sammy Davis Jr.'s cameo in the Batman 60 show. This year is the 60th anniversary of the 60 classic shows. You can check the Tubi right there. I already posted my review on Spectre. It was part of the big collection I did in terms of the Bond Mania. So posting that for this month of any Bond movies I reviewed last year. You're going to see the reviews very soon. And then shorts, I'm doing a couple of 28 years later clips / Arnold films, particularly The Running Man. Soon I'm going to do Terminator 2 clips, because I already did the review I just saved recently with the Matt and Tim from the Man reviews. And then of course reviews, I did the Bone Temple. You can check out the new one that came out this year, and House of Dragon season 1, because we had the new show Night of the Seven Kingdoms, so you can check out my thoughts on season 1 of House of Dragon. Live stream reviews, next one is this Sunday, the 28 years later, the last one for this 28 content for this month, where I'm going to be joined by Darren Diaz from the Darren Room podcast. He's going to join me and hopefully Jeff to do the 28 years later. And I got 2 more set up for February, 1 superhero film and 1 horror film. So that's where I'm at right now in terms of my content. So thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Andres.
Oh. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Good. I think I can hear you. I think I became Iceman again. Oh god.
Okay, whatever, sir. Bottom line, folks, we're out of here. Thanks to Jesse Starcher for coming by. Thanks to Cyberneticshark. Appreciate you, Andres. Good job moderating, sir. And I'm Jeff S., aka TrueKnowledge, for the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We will be back, of course, like we always are. That's Wednesday night for another wonderful episode of A Night of Seven Kingdoms. But until then, we love everybody out there. God bless you. Peace.
Peace. Ciao.